Howdy, y'all. GooseFathr here. Today, we're going to go over the patch notes for June 4th, and we are joined today by our pal, Waltercoolest.
Hello, this is Walter.
And we're just going to go right into it and review all the patch notes. Walter's here to help us with all the non-pig stuff, because obviously sometimes I'm one giant shoulder shrug emoji when it's items that I don't encounter as often. So we really appreciate him being here. We are going to skip over this very first section on legendary rating because it doesn't apply to a lot of us until much later when and if we get to legend. But we will save that for the end. So if you're a tryhard like myself, stick around for that. But the first major change, which is kind of a big one, is heal cleanse. Now cleanses for 10% of the heal amount.
So this is like Earth. I don't know if it's earth shattering, but it's a pretty big change. It's a change that I'm a big fan of. It makes it so like the ability to cleanse now scales with the effectiveness of the heal, which I think is a fair way to do it, in the sense that like small heals are priced on the cards that they're on as small heals.
Yep.
And so their cleanse effect should be a small cleanse. And
Absolutely.
Big heals are priced like a big heal, and so their effect should be a big cleanse. And so I think that it's good for the long-term balance of the game. That said, there may be some like weirdness that needs to be I have to think through more if this is like good in every single, or like if this has problems in any type of instances. I'm thinking of maybe there's some edge cases where this does weird stuff, but
for Pyg
specifically things like if you have rebirth, right? If I have like rebirth and like 5,000 HP, okay, and I have 500 burn on me,
right?
Does that mean that when I rebirth, I just remove 500 burn from myself, right?
Right. Yeah. If I have a early game, does that mean that life raft is OP?
Yeah,
or
life preserver.
Life preserver is OP.
It heals 200, so cleanses 20 burn, which that's maybe not that OP. I don't know. I'm
luxury
not sure,
tents.
Yeah, luxury like anything that gives you like a massive one-time heal,
right,
is now like kind of interesting to look at, because now that's like also a huge cleanse. But like the rebirth one was the first thing that came to mind, is like an edge case where
right.
maybe this isn't doing what they intend for it to do.
Walter's brain went to an exploit. What? Totally shocked.
Was that? Yeah, I mean, it's not an exploit. It's just,
not an exploit. Just unintended consequences.
It's helpful in reading patch notes to try and
break
think
it.
Of the most extreme. Yeah, think of the most extreme example of when this could apply. So
for Pyg
to do that as we go through.
Yeah, for Pyg, where this obviously makes the most impact is you're not going to get nearly as much value out of your bird. We are going to be much more susceptible to burn and poison. We kind of were able to trivialize it after like day 3. Your Matchbox Sauna combo is not just like a hard counter anymore to that kind of stuff. But also Money Tree now has more playability value as you scale it in the early mid game, because it now gets like that bigger cleanse amount. So yeah, it just gives like reason to scale.
Like in general, I think this is going to make burn better. So like, I think
yes.
Yeah. So like the flip side of it is like, yeah, maybe your Pyg is worse at cleansing burn, but he's not better at applying it. Right. So I think that maybe those burn lines, which we have kind of sidelined a little bit. I know recently you've not wanted to go into burn in the early game because it kind of feels like a bit of a cul-de-sac. Maybe those are more winning. Like a burn board is now maybe much more winning in the mid game.
Right. And we are not going to get into the new items because they're not listed here, but I think that there is one major item I want to talk about really quick, which is Tanky Andy, which Tanky Yankee flat reduces a Dooley item that just flat reduces a flat amount of damage off all of your weapons. Silver large. He's not going to have it all the time, but when he has it, suddenly your like early weapons boards are just absolute shit tier.
It's the thing. Okay, so that is one of the cards that was, if you go in the client and click, it's actually -10, not -25.
Oh, they've already fixed it. Okay.
They pre-nerfed it.
Thank God. I'm still nervous about that card. That card, like, really.
It's still probably really good, but it's been pre-nerfed to no longer be a inverse figure. At silver.
So that was already going to have me start talking to my pig players about like re-looking at the Matchbox line, and this heal cleanse kind of doubles down on that.
I mean, the issue with that card specifically though is that it also still like because it also gives
Heal.
friends like
Yeah.
basically like shield. It's like the shield version of lifesteal in a way, like that it shields
Yeah,
equal to
that card's
the
so
damage they do.
problematic. It's going to be awesome. I
Yeah,
can't wait to hate Dooley again. I can't tell. Nothing
well,
hurts my soul than have to
it's
feel
your time,
sorry
I
for the
think.
robot, man. Yeah, it's going to be time. All right. Corrected an issue where certain during combat effects would only incorrectly trigger outside of combat. And then fix some issues where during combat effects would persist outside of item destruction. Applied to all the item destruction items. So that's cool. Cooldown reduction effects have been modified to the following formula. I'm not going to read the formula. It's rather convoluted. The punchline, actually, I'll let you talk about the punchline of that, Walter.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. One is that the whole sub game of putting CDR on your items before you upgrade them, where they get minus flat cooldown on upgrades, is completely dead. That does now offers no benefit. Instead, what is better is now just stacking percent CDR. So when you now it on the previous version of the game, if you feathered an item and then feathered it again, the second feather would reduce the cooldown less than the first feather did because you'd be
diminishing
taking
returns,
a percentage.
right?
Yeah. Now that's no longer the case. Now each item has like an internal number, which is like kind of similar to like crit chance, which is like this is the amount of percent CDR that's on this item, and then that number gets added to every single time you feather or wing that item,
right?
And then that's like a static value.
Yep. And as a function
So
of power, taking 3% off a 4-second item is significantly more powerful than taking 0.5 seconds off a 4-second item is way more powerful than 0.5 seconds off a 6-second item. So those feathers will progressively get more and more power on putting on your items.
Yes. And as a result of, we'll see further down that a lot of skills and stuff that gave percent CDR have been slightly nerfed to kind of keep their power where it was before this change. So this change is going to inform a lot of the changes afterwards, especially in the skills.
Yeah, and it does also affect the kind of like Atlas Stone minigame or other heroes had this, where when your item cools down from 9 to 8 to 7, it doesn't matter anymore at all in terms of how much cooldown reduction you get. So you aren't going to want to only grab the bronze Atlas Stone so you could get more CDR applied to it. You'll buy it at any tier. Each feather matters the same amount regardless of the tier you get it, which is kind of a nice change, because on like day 3 or 4, if I saw a silver Atlas Stone, I was a little disappointed to pick it up because I didn't get as much extra power.
It's definitely like simpler to invest in a card like that. It doesn't require as many conditions, or like I need to get the bronze version, then I need to hold it at bronze as long as possible while I CDR. Like there's not as many hoops to jump through, and it's much more straightforward. It's much more intuitive. Like I use my wing on my item that I want to go faster, and it does. Like, and I don't have all these other considerations to think about, like what tier is it? Do I need to put my fort into play when I wing it so that I get extra damage? Do I need to take my weapon and tools out of play for my fully loaded monster skills?
And it's never and it's never wrong to upgrade your item now, because you wanted to eke out, which was always a feel bad, like, oh, I finally see the upgrade to this, but I don't want it as a really bad play. So I'm glad that's kind of fixed.
It removes a lot of tricks, but it's a big win for intuition. For being intuitive.
And anything they could do to make this more beginner friendly is just going to be helpful. Start of run. This is one of the biggest changes. Start of run characters now start.
It's the single biggest change in the patch, in my opinion.
Yep. Characters now start with 2 XP instead of 0 XP. So
you're level 2 on day 1, level 3 on day 4, and you don't jump the pace of the game until you get 7 additional XP, which means that like basically people aren't really going to start to be a level ahead until maybe day 6 or 7 at the earliest. Because if you think about it, like, well, okay, you will be a level ahead of like you'll be a level ahead of where you were in the previous patch, right? Because, or like you'll be at the same level you were in the previous patch,
Right.
because you have two more to start with, right? So it's not
Yep.
like we all lost the full level. But what
Right.
I mean is that your ability to like lap other players is way pushed back in the game. So the ability to be higher than your PvP opponent has been pushed very far back into the game, into day 6 or 7 or
Yeah,
maybe
in
even 8.
fact, it goes the opposite way. It's now yours to lose. You can't start gaining more free XP until day 4. And if you have gained no free XP, if you lose a single monster fight, you're behind everybody in combat.
Yeah,
You're
that's
now
true.
one level
Now
behind.
losing a monster fight is like unbelievably
It's
disastrous on
very
like day 1
punishing
or
in those
whatever.
first few days. Yeah.
That's true. But you know what? That's fine. I'm fine with that. Like that's
Yeah.
part of the skill test of the game, if you ask me.
Master your monster fights. Yeah. Level up changes. Level up tiers that offer enchantments are now just the artist. So you no longer, everyone bitched about the illusion of choice. This is what happens when you complain, people. Everyone would complain that they would show you one, and if you like, let's say it was the heal enchant and you didn't want it, so then you did the random and then you got the heal enchant anyway, and we all asked that they fixed it, and they fixed it by getting rid of the one that you knew was coming and just gave you
Yeah,
the random.
they monkey pawed Reddit.
They
Like
did.
they
Oh yeah. Ow.
That's fine. I mean, whatever. That's fine. I'm totally fine with this change. Actually, I mean, it is a big change, and I think people are going to be up in arms about it.
Sure.
But I'm actually totally fine with this. I don't even think it changes the game balance very much.
I think there's going to be edge cases in where people that had specifically more. Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not sure.
swashbuckle stocks are through the roof because you have the artist every single time. So things that
Right.
artist well
Yes.
are
Yeah.
like Poppy Field,
Right. At Lottle.
Rapid Injector. Yeah, like
Uh,
basically like cards that are OP artist targets. Their
yeah.
value is up.
28-hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Future and Fates now does the opposite. It has 2 fixed enchantments. Which is super interesting. Yeah, I kind of like that. So
Yeah. The on death is your choice of 2.
yeah.
I kind of like. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and it's definitely 2, so there's no illusion of choice. So at least if you only had 1 shit enchant, you now can't get screwed. But if you have 2 shit enchants, you definitely can. Crit chance adjusted application rules to better handle edge case items that can't crit, like Igloo. Not sure in which way they adjusted that,
This
but
is okay. So what I'm pretty sure this is that so Igloo was able to gain crit chance but couldn't crit.
oh,
So
right.
and there's a couple of other items in the game that also could gain crit chance. I think
That's right. You could
Cold was one of
accidentally drop your
them.
talisman on this and lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
that makes
think that
sense.
this is just like a bug fix,
Okay.
basically. But I think it's a good bug fix for Pig because
Yeah.
it actually helps you.
Yeah.
So they can't
Rounding.
steal your like right-handed or your right eye or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Rounding rules, most percentage based effects now round up with a floor of 1, which is kind of nice.
So I think this means that Toxic Fang will hit for 1 poison, even when it
Yes.
has 5 damage on it, even if you have no plus damage or plus poison skills. So if you hit
Yes.
Toxic Fang day 1, it will poison. I think that's important implication of this.
It also means you will always see an effect out of your feather. You will always, if you use a feather on a 4-second item, it sometimes didn't make it down to 3.9.
That was always just visual.
Yeah, that's true.
Like so if you like clicked on the item, you could actually see its like number to the significant digits or whatever to
Okay.
6 decimal places or something. So that was the like number in the little circle was always like rounded, but not what the game was going off
Well, it
of.
makes me feel better.
What I think this means is that because this goes along with the cleanse change, right?
Yep.
So all heals 10 and under cleanse for 1 burn and poison.
Yeah.
So everything and then all heals like 11 through 19
Cleanse for 2.
or 11 through 20 cleanse for 2 burn and poison. Like so I think it'll work like that.
That's nice. And
That's
I
what I
like
think
that
that's
Toxic
for.
Fang is now a thing day 1 no matter what. That's nice.
Yeah, it helps with a bunch of other like enchanted item starts, right? Where your
Right.
base value is under, you have like a fiery
Yeah.
Hality or something, and it's like hit for 5 and do 0 burn. So now that's actually going to be hit for 5 and do two burn, which
Yeah.
is significantly stronger, right? Like that's
Okay, here's a change I don't know that most people knew was a thing in the game. You informed me of this like a week ago, and it's pretty big. Fix an issue where certain temporary player and item modifiers were not recorded on ghosts. So picking up something like, I know that whenever I'm running Square Pig, I'm almost always going to Jewel until I get it Lottle to 180. And so I'm winning my fights quite a bit because my Lottle hits 180 very fast. But you're facing my Ghost and my Lottle might never hit 180 because I took off my damage scalers because I thought I hit it. And so you're facing ghosts that are a lot weaker than what they were in combat, especially for people who use relax a lot. You're now going to face that 800 shield that you weren't facing against ghosts. So
I have something to say about this, which is that I thought this was not only did I think this was on purpose, I think they should put it back. I think this was a mistake that was actually
good.
an amazing good thing for the game,
Yes, I
which
agree.
which was that it globally increased everyone's win rate
Yeah.
without making making the game any less fair. It
Mm-hmm.
made everyone win more.
Yep. And
And so
and
like the
now
result of this
no.
is everyone is just gonna lose more. That
Yeah.
is the result of this change, is that everyone
Yep.
just loses more fights.
Yeah, the
So
game
I don't
feels worse
know.
and nobody knows why. Like no one's
Yeah,
gonna
no
intuitively.
one benefits from this. The number of ghosts, the number of people knocked out by your ghosts
Benefits from it.
stat in the thing will be slightly increased, but
Hey,
other than that, no
you
one
as a
benefits from
relaxed
it.
tryhard player will now have many more ticks on your number of people knocked out by your ghost, my friend. You
Yeah,
benefit
for
from
sure, but it's
this
also like it's horrible for me as a relaxed tryhard player because
because
because so many
now the
more
ghost
of my
has relax
opponents
too,
will have relaxed. Yeah,
right? It
yeah,
was always an advantage you could have over your opponent, and now it is not.
yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Ow. All right. User interface changes, various UI adjustments and optimizations. Concede now has a confirmed dialog box, so you can't accidentally concede. Thank you. Regen effects have a gem. Huzzah. Now I get to go back to saying you can tell if an item crits if it has the gem at the top. That used to be the easiest way to tell if an item had crit capability. Igloo has crit capability, doesn't? No, it doesn't. And it has a gem at the top. Damn it, it's still not true. Okay. Updated card effects. All of these are essentially, they're going to have visual effects. I would just like to remind everybody of the stopwatch visual effects change and how absolutely baller and satisfying that is. So I am really excited to see all of these. They do just some amazing shit with this. So I'm hoping some of those will be on that level. Encounters. A strange mushroom now has a new option for Dooley where you could share it with a friend and get a small silver friend. Silver friend, pretty good for day one.
Yeah,
Borrow.
it's a dually buff for sure.
Yeah, that's nice. And he didn't have many, if any, secret encounters, right? I don't remember him having secret encounters.
Yeah, he was lacking kind of the he did he had some, there's like some stuff, but there was some of it was like taken out of the game inadvertently. Like he used to have something with like solar farm on the monster ranch and like he used to have stuff, and then like for unrelated reasons I think they got removed, and
Gotcha.
so I think they're trying to backfill some of his early game options here.
Cool.
Because he has a lot of early game weirdness from not having a core,
Okay.
and so they actually address some of that later on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Borrow now grants an additional gold. I think nobody was using borrow, but they should have been. This is where you basically lose one income and you get some gold. You shouldn't do it while you're doing a tempo game, but you absolutely should while you're doing like a greedy money tree game kind of thing, or where you're low and you want to be like buying up something soon. There are definitely use cases where this is useful, and I've been using it more and more, especially off stream, so it's a little bit more powerful, so that's good.
Yeah,
Jungle
this
Ruin.
node already was good, and I think it's now OP.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's actually really strong. It's also it's such a skill flex because one, you do have to know when to use it. You should not be using it when you're going to be like buying and selling yourself into the ground kind of stuff. But there are times where you can use it to give yourself a huge like purchase opportunity on a day where you're going to make a lot of hay out of it. And so it's good skill expression in that sense. And it's also good skill expression because people are just afraid of losing income. And so the people who are willing to do this when they know it's good are just going to get some extra power and other people aren't. So I love it. Jungle Ruins, Search the Body, Vanessa renamed to Plunder for Treasure. Cool. Search the Bodies, get a small silver weapon or apparel from any hero. I like the cutthroat feeling of that name. Search for abandoned tools. Dooley, get a small silver tier tool from any hero. That's fun that they can get something from another hero.
Yeah, I think actually this one more so than the friend is actually really strong for Dooley.
Because there's some faster
Small silver tier tool is a really good category for Dooley. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to get into why, but there's like there's new cards. There's like a card from the new Mac expansion that's a small silver tier tool. There's a bunch of really good hits for Dooley here.
I'm a little afraid of running into more weapons Vanessas with yo-yos. I got to be honest on this one, but
yeah, I mean they also it's like small silver tier apparel is pretty likely to be holsters.
no, that's hers. It'll be from another hero. Oh, any hero. No, it's any hero.
It's any hero. It can be her stuff too. So like,
oh yeah.
So it's more access to holsters too.
Yeah, and now she gets to get the jewelry with, except they're renaming jewelry, but we'll get to that. Okay, Temple Expedition, a new encounter that spawns on day 9, and if you have the required item, yeah, this is the new big thing that we're gonna have to spend some time to figure out.
I would recommend people watch the Retromation video if you want to understand what this thing is and its implications. Like, we don't really know what all of the items it drops are, or even what the encounters do, or even what all the items from the monsters that are in it do. So, it's kind of like we're gonna put a pin in this one.
Yeah,
a little bit. Watch the Retromation video. That has the most information if you want to get all the information about this.
Yeah, this is going to be my next several videos, undoubtedly, is just playing a bunch of these games, cutting clips of it, watching other streamers, and then like explaining how this works. So we'll get back to this when we know more. We do know that you will pick up the tickets to get access to that thing. And it drops from the following monsters, but Mac automatically gets access, right? No. Okay. I heard people saying that Mac gets access automatically. So, okay. I thought that was weird because it's not exactly flavor aligned, but it is interesting if somebody did. But cool. Okay. So it now drops from all of these monsters. There's enough that you go to anyway. It just ups the stock of some people that had pretty high stock anyway, like Dabbling Apprentice or Trash Town Mayor. Although Dabbling Apprentice probably lost a decent amount of stock because that vial doesn't get you the extra.
Yeah, the vial is back to like its old power level.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, so that's kind of the replacement. I mean, we'll see how powerful the Day 9 encounters really is. It's really valuable right now just because it's fun, right? We want to try the new shit, but we'll have to decide later
also
if we like it.
Jungle Runes and Mountain Pass can give it from the loot option. We should mention that because that's going to be your other way to get it.
Yeah, totally fair. And Jungle Runes is probably the most likely because you get 3 from there. So you get a chance. I wonder though if this is coded as gold, and therefore you can't get them until day 5 from those encounters.
Well, I think it'll be coded as silver because the fact that they're saying that Tiny Furry Creature can drop it as a loot option would make me think that it's not coded as gold because you can only get Tiny Furry Creature days 1 and 2, so it can't be gold. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally fair. Yep, you're totally right. That makes sense. Or
so we'll have to see. I'm just gonna take their word for it that these are the 3 ways you can get it.
Okay. All right. Dooley items. Alpha Ray now starts at silver.
Yeah, the significance of this is like Alpha Ray used to be a really OP item. It used to be one of Dooley's best items. The cores were moved to level 3, and then this card is which used to be at its best at bronze, is kind of homeless because it requires the core to do anything.
Yeah.
So I think their solution is just take it out of the bronze pool, and that actually, in a way, this should be like, even though it's moving it to silver tier and it's a good item, in a way it's a buff because you don't have this item in the bronze pool day one when you don't have a core.
Makes sense.
So yeah, it's a nerf in a certain sense, but it's also a buff in a certain sense.
Okay. All of the cores, they are raising 1 second at silver. And sorry.
Wait, let me jump in. It's not all of the cores. It's only the ones that are the scalers.
Okay. All
The
the
core
scaling cores.
and companion core are unchanged.
Okay, cool. So armor core, crit core, we'll see them as we go. Some of the cores, they are changing from a flat 6 to 7 at silver and then 5 at diamond. Gives you just a little bit more reason to upgrade those cores. And a little bit weaker in the very, very early game.
Yeah, they're going to be weaker on... So, like, every dually is going to have level 3 by day 2 now. So your enemy dualies will have their core on day 2.
Right.
But it'll be weaker unless it's companion or the core.
Okay.
All the other 4 will be weaker.
That's true.
And then the primal core is also a 7-second cooldown. The new core.
That's true. I did not think of the implications of Dooley having cores day 2 now. Huh.
Yes.
Your other friends have their cooldowns reduced by 10, 15 to... Actually, that's really strong because we're all going to struggle to try to... We used to do this when we put in all of our investment to try to get the day 2 XP, and we still have more encounters to get the level now. Like, we don't have to waste some of those encounters doing like Tiny Furry Monster for XP, but it was always hard filling up that full board with decent items on day 2. And now Dooley's gonna kind of get a free medium-sized item to fill it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we didn't mention is that, like, my takeaway from the XP change, from the you start with 2 additional XP, is that income is the best start on every character.
Yeah, I think
because like you have the ability to fill the spaces with quality items is now going to be the premium.
Yep.
And like a skill or an enchanted item is a much lower percentage of your power.
Yep.
Compared to your total board as it was in the previous patch.
Especially like for Pyg, now we can fit damage scalers like Showcase on day 1.
Yes, day 1 Showcase with oh my god, it's going to be... Pyg day 1 is going to be really nasty with Showcase, by the way.
Oh, we always were nasty once we got room for combat scalers. So it's going to be, I mean, you can even like run a ganja with your like shield or with your, you can do crazy stuff. You can run a ganja and buff up your robe and then still have 2 small items on the catch on either side. Like, yeah, our day 1 is going to be cracked, and you have to have the money in order to do it. So it's now almost a mandate. Chris your other friends on Bulldozer have their cooldowns reduced by 10, 15. This is just part of the
nerf, right?
Yeah, the Bulldozer.
Yep. Yeah, that's a nerf, right? Okay.
Yeah, all of the cooldown reductions are going to be a nerf that we see. They have reduced almost every cooldown reduction item in the game has gotten a, somewhere to the order of a 5% reduction.
Maybe it means that Mod Squad is easier because he has 5% less on his gold bulldozer.
Yeah, a little bit. He's still gonna suck, but yeah,
CDR on his gold bulldozer. I mean, that's a fight where like you're often close to
really
being
close.
Able to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Chris Army Knife now has the tech tag, which that's a little scary, and he gets down to 3 seconds. So they're doing this on a few Dooley items where they're letting it scale all the way to diamond. So Dooley will get some very fast items if he keeps scaling. It's very interesting that it kind of changes the value proposition for Dooley to want to have a lot of items that he keeps investing in over time, which I don't think was the way he worked as much before.
As far as like, Chris had some uses because of he had a simultaneous friend and tool tag, which let him stand next to soldering gun.
Right.
Specifically, like Copper Ed, like these cards were completely useless for 90% of the game's history.
Right.
You basically like would reluctantly play them on day one and
Yeah,
then get
and
them off your board as fast as possible for the rest of the game.
yeah, and
And
now
now they
having these things
actually
that you
are
can
like
invest
useful.
down, yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and have the upgrades be meaningful in the way that like other characters have meaningful upgrades. Because Dooley also had the problem of a lot of his upgrades were meaningless.
Yeah,
So
and just a
this
lot of
does
his items like Copperhead were just useless. Now it's
yeah,
just a speed item.
a lot of his cards were blank, but at least now they're fast with a useless effect, which
Yeah,
is a lot stronger than slow with a useless effect.
totally. Also, it that speed it counts as a trigger, right? At 3 seconds, you
Yeah,
would count
absolutely,
that poison
absolutely.
as a
Yeah,
trigger.
yeah, yeah, for sure. When you're a 3 second item, now you've entered the realm of being viable in the late game.
Yeah,
Like, even if all you need is like a poison trigger or a shield trigger, which Copperhead is both. So.
yeah, and Copperhead, hasted, and whatnot can now easily be part of a drill package or something like that. Yeah, it just has a lot more usability. Critical Core had the cooldown reduction we talked about. There's going to be a lot of things gaining the relic type. So Cog gained the relic type. I'm a little uncomfortable with that one. Most of these make sense to me, but Cog does not feel ancient, but that's cool. Cybersecurity is now a flat 30 instead of that changing. And then it has 30, 40, 50 for each other weapon and tech type you have. So that's the same damage scaling, but it doesn't count itself. And deals 2, 3, 4 times the damage if it's your only friend.
Well, I think it never. I don't think it ever counted itself, but it used to have base damage scaling. So this 30 used to go up as
Well,
it went to
yeah. So
gold and diamond.
actually, no, the 30 looks like it was the same. Oh, yeah, it was deal 30, 40, 50. So that is flattened out. So that no longer goes up as you upgrade it. The upgrade tiers were exactly the same. They were always, no, the upgrade tiers never went up.
Yes, that's what I think. I think the only change is they just made the base damage flat. I think that's the only, which is a small
But
nerf, but it is a nerf,
so
right?
this is where we have to debate whether or not Tempo made a typo mistake or not. But they did add the word other here. Other didn't exist in the previous text. And so it did count itself as a weapon. Or maybe it didn't. And that was,
Maybe it didn't. I don't think it. See, I don't think it actually did count itself. I think that it just had bad wording
okay.
in the previous version. So maybe it's like an intentional. They're trying to simplify the wording, right? So
Yep.
making it match what it does, and then removing this base damage scaling because it already is scaling in two other ways when you level it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Flamethrower floor, yeah, I can say the word. At now is a 10-second and goes down to 6. And then it just
now it starts at silver. It used to be a gold starting.
right, starts at silver so you can pick it up early. For us pigs, this is just a complete nerf. But for Dooley, he can pick it up and work his way into it a little bit more. But it doesn't go up in damage from gold to diamond to double. So now it's just burn equal to this item's damage. So that's interesting.
It's worse overall, but
Yeah,
it's I don't know. It's whatever.
this used to be just like the best non-pig item we could find on Square
Yeah, it
Pig.
used to be one of the best off-hero items for a lot of people. I mean, it had a really insane text, right? Burn equal to double this
Yeah,
item's
that
damage
was
is really crazy text.
that's nuts. Forklift now starts at bronze tier. That's super interesting. I like the changes to that card and being able to see that, like, have it early and work on it. Sounds super fun. Wonder how that's going to feel to play against. New hydraulic press sounds just super interesting. Starts at bronze tier, weapon and tool tag, 16-second cooldown, deals no damage to start. At the end of each fight, permanently destroy the item to the left of this. In this game's that item's types has damage equal to 50, 100, 250, 500 times the number of types it has.
Two things I want to point out about this card. The first one is that it actually does do 100 damage in the start because it has two types to start.
Right.
So it doesn't actually deal 0 damage
Yeah.
when you use it in PvE. It actually does damage to the guy
Right.
you're fighting. The other thing is that a bunch of dinosaurs gain permanent damage scaling when anything is destroyed in combat.
Yes.
So that's another thing to consider for this card. But also it's like a vat of acid, but then also it has like this weird thing where like Imagine if I wanted to play. So it destroys the item to the left of this, right? So
Right.
imagine if I wanted to play like battery on one side of it, and then I wanted to play like red button on the other side of it for my PvP.
You
I
can't.
could do it, but it would just eat my no. Like you can, you just have to get like a new activator every single day for your PvP to like.
It's so
It's
fun.
actually awesome.
So,
It's actually sweet.
so there's
Like
nothing
if
in the
you
text that says this has to be on your board to work, but at the end of fight has always historically been a board text trigger. So I'm very curious if this works in the stash.
yeah, I'm pretty sure this will not work in the stash.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I
because
think it would be
almost
unbelievably OP if it worked in the stash. I'm pretty sure
absolutely
you have to put this into play on your monster fights,
right,
eat your items and
right.
grow it, and then it's like a Atlas stone for Dooley. It's like a boulder for Dooley, but
But
it's
so
like the
much
same.
harder because you have to use an item that was worth running in a fight, and then you have to lose an item that was worth running in a fight.
Well, I mean, but like there's so many easy monster fight, especially for Dooley. Like if you're taking the easy
That's
monster
true.
fight,
That's true.
you can there's a lot you could just eat something and that's not a
No, you're
problem
right.
for
This
you.
could just be a PVE scaler. You could not dance with that, and probably
Yeah, and
shouldn't
then when
dance
you
with
get it
that.
to diamond, it does 10,000 damage if you have 20 types on it.
I mean, you ain't gonna get 20 types. There's like
You
14.
can
There's
you can
16
easily get
reasonable
20 types,
types.
especially as Dooley. So
Yeah.
for sure, you can. Dooley has tons of types. You can eat your core with this, by the
Oh,
way,
that's
and
true.
get the
That's
core
true.
type.
Dooley has the core,
You
the
can
ray, the yeah. I
you can eat your core and then use remote control to use this item because it will then be a core. You could
shit. Yeah. All right. Cool.
you could get jorts and then gain the types of every single item that's in your inventory when you eat the jorts. You like
Oh, and
there's
probably permanently get it.
yes, and permanently gain those types.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. You can get a bob.
So
You can get a bob and just convert your whole stash in one go.
yeah, you could yes.
Or no,
So
you'd
well,
have to
we
do
can
your
use
whole
cargo
board.
shorts
It's
to
just
do
be
it.
your
Yeah,
board.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cargo shorts. You're right.
With jorts, you use your whole stash
Shorts, yeah.
of types into and eat it all at
I
once.
love this
So like
item. I'm gonna hate this item in the end game, but I love this item. That
so
is just
there's a
fun.
lot going on with that one. It's definitely a cool item to get as another hero too. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be
Although Dooley has some of the best ways to make it go fast. Like it is a 16-second cooldown item, and I'm
right.
pretty sure it's going to be a large or maybe a medium.
Yep.
So so
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, even
fun to try and
phonographing
make it work
16
fast.
seconds doesn't exactly save you on day 13. Like
Yeah,
you
exactly. That's
really
still not fast enough. Like
yeah,
the premise of this item is that Dooley is the character with
the
the
trigger.
most
Yep.
access to stuff to speed it to charge it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but Dooley doesn't really hasn't really historically had any had like a meta scaling card like this.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I mean, I
But
guess you have the dinosaurs, but they've been really terrible for a lot of the game's
right.
history.
Yeah, Dooley now
That's
is
meta
quite a
scaling, but
few fun metascalers with the dinosaurs.
yeah,
So
now yeah, they get added a ton of meta scaling to Dooley's
and for those
kit if you include the
a little
yeah.
bug that we are talking a lot about Dooley on, you're probably here to learn pig stuff. You're going to be a little disappointed when we get to the pig second, you guys. This is the fun part of of the patch notes, just to warn y'all. So we're not spending
Yeah.
time where time isn't due. This is definitely the more interesting part of the change. So we got Ignition Core, which is the same CDR thing that we were talking about before. Momosaur starts at silver, Railgun at
I mean,
bronze.
yeah, so I think that more they've gone in the direction of a railgun at bronze is really interesting because now
Yeah.
that's a couple that's first of all there's one big implication for that. In this previous patch, you were able to on Mac and Dooley buy a large bronze from Curio, and because your kit had no large bronze items, Mandala would transform it into a silver item from your kit.
Oh, now all roads lead to Railgun.
Now you can transform any large bronze curio item as Dooley directly into a railgun if you want. On Mac, I'm pretty sure he still has no large bronze item, so you can still get a random silver one which is, oh, by the way, is really strong on Mac because you can get
Yeah.
Poppy Field on like day 2.
Right.
You can get like great sword or whatever, like a runic great axe rather. And then like if you're in the carpet board, that's really
Right.
strong. You can get test subject alpha. There's a bunch of, you can also get like econ items like potion distillery or apothecary that are really strong too to have in your stash. So
And railgun is something that if you get and you get to start building the board for early, like you're no longer like waiting around for it. You get to
yeah,
just
I mean, this is a
decide.
really ambiguous patch note, right? Like, it says now starts at bronze tier. Like,
Right, right.
what's the
What is it?
damage of it? Like, how much
Right,
damage does it do?
right.
Like it's really hard to evaluate this. So
Yeah,
I think we just have to move on because
yeah.
we
Uh,
have no information.
re-
Potentially, this is really good.
yep.
Maybe.
So red button. Um, they have changed the cooldown from being a flat 7 to being 876. So again, just giving him reasons to upgrade the items. Charge adjacent large items for half of their cooldown. So half of their cooldown instead of 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting when your cooldown is 16 seconds, right?
Good God. Yeah. Okay. All right. I already see the end game that I don't like.
I mean, but like I said, you can't use it and battery on the item unless you want it, unless that you're willing to have your red button get eaten
Yeah. And
by the
you
thing at the end of combat.
and you get value for upgrading your red button. So
Yeah.
well, we now know what the play is on the last day. Goodbye, red button. All right, plasma grenade, cooldown to 6 seconds. Ammo is now 1, 2, 3, 4. Very interesting. Slows all enemy items for 1 second.
So I think this is a big. So if you cared about the slow duration, this is a nerf.
Yeah.
But if you cared about triggers only, this
Yep.
is a huge buff.
Yep.
Because this item used to be 9-second cooldown, and to get the same number of slow triggers 3 seconds earlier in the fight is huge improvement. This card is really strong now. I think this card is
Yeah, and now you don't
really
murder
strong.
yourself by upgrading it in order to get that ammo because,
That too.
20 burn
That
on your
too.
face kind of sucks.
Yeah. And
uh,
also, like the first curio slow on it goes absolutely crazy on this thing. So
yeah,
if you like
yeah,
the very first one you do is just it's more than twice as good when you curio it. That's
yeah,
the thing about slow is like it doesn't, the more of it you apply, the better it is. So
yeah, and it's all
this
enemy weapons, and they're going to be able to do it multiple times. The cooldown went from 9 to 6. Yeah, this is very playable. This is no longer just a pile of junk. I mean, it still was occasionally useful, just not very much on Dooley.
it was already playable. It was already a playable card. It was already a card if you, especially if you could get extra ammo on it as Dooley, it was already a card you very
Right.
often wanted to play, even with just one extra ammo. So now it's like if you were playing it for the triggers, you now just want to play it on silver like all the time
Yeah.
because you have
Cool.
2 ammo on a 6 second item.
Okay, weaponized core had the reduction. We have a lot of things changed to relic. I'm gonna go in and do my favorite thing, which is to criticize the tag placement that Tempo does. Ambergris relic, great. Blowgun relic, great. Boulder relic, cool, great. Coral is a relic. I'm squinting my eye at that one. Coral armor is a relic, cool, great. Custom scope. If you have only one weapon, when you crit with it, charge a non-weapon 1 second. So that no longer scales. That's a custom scope nerf. Everyone rejoice.
Yeah, that's it. Also was a 2 second charge before, right?
Yeah, it was a 2 second charge.
Okay,
Or
and so now it's only scaling the crit.
1.52. So it could scale up to that.
Okay,
I
so
think it
now only
still
the crit
scales the
chance
same percentage
scales?
crit chance though.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is a huge nerf. I mean, this is the eels nerf, even more so than the eels nerf, which is on the next line. But this is the eels nerf.
Yep. Then we have electric eels. Just pulling it up on the other screen so I can have the exact old numbers. The cooldown goes from 876. So until you get to diamond, you are nerfed on your timing. When your enemy uses an item, charge this 2 seconds instead of 1, 2, and 3. So it's just considerably worse at silver, even though it charges 2 seconds instead of 1 second. It's up to 8 instead of 6. Actually, I guess it
Yeah,
is
it's
fractionally
weird.
better.
Yeah, it's weirdly like the thing is that it's weirdly like not that different at silver,
Yeah.
and then it gets way worse when you get it to to gold and diamond, which is good probably, honestly. Because
Yeah.
sorry, eels at silver was like not
Yeah, because they
the
didn't have their board together yet.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And its flat damage is low. Yeah. Yeah, they just didn't have the ability to like get all the scaling on it that made it nuts yet. So it wasn't until later when it was a problem. So this is probably pretty good.
I mean, look, this build was public enemy #1
Yep.
for sure, not close, and it got hit with two pretty nasty. I think the custom scope nerf is actually, as a percentage, is a bigger nerf.
Yeah.
Because custom scope diamond was just so crazy. Like, it was just so. I don't
So
know. It just gave you a rate of scaling that was wild.
I will say the thing that you are all not going to like, that you're probably not thinking about, is that this is actually a buff to Prince Marianus, because it used to be that if you did 6 casts of a thing, he would swing at you. Now it only takes 4 casts of your items to get his eels to swing at you. But if you aren't casting very frequently, he might have more lag time. But generally speaking, at silver, especially if you were doing anything fast into him, Marianus is going to hit you more often.
Yeah, that's a good shout out.
Especially since he was already pretty tough if you were spamming. So he's going to get a little bit hard. Figurehead gained the relic type, and aquatic items to the left have lost a little bit of the cooldown, like all cooldown reduction items have gotten. Ice pick. I didn't even see this when I was reading the patch notes. The flat damage got raised to 25. When you freeze 15, 20, 25 for the fight. That's the same, so I'm not sure why that's called out here.
I think maybe the only change is the flat damage, or is that?
Yeah, the flat damage is the only change, but they wrote out the 15, 20, 25. Usually they just wouldn't write this line. So yeah, I'm not sure why that's there. It doesn't look any different. But the flat damage is changed to 20. So it got 5 damage buff. Woo. They've changed Vanessa's amulet to Corzina Crest. I love this kind of thing. I really like. So they're doing this with Vanessa item. They're doing it with the Pyg item so that it becomes a relic, because if it's Vanessa's, it's obviously not a relic, right? So I appreciate that they did this just so that it fits the flair of a relic. Go Tempo.
Yeah, it's the crest of House Corzina. So
yeah,
it's supposed to be like an old thing. Yeah.
Yep. Love it.
I
think that's genius. That's the way to keep me from bitching at you from your tag not fitting the flavor. Way to go, Tempo. Lockbox relic, cool. Pop snappers is down to 3 seconds. So the damn bastard who had the powder flask pop snappers on me enchanted today on day 1 will kill me even faster.
Pop snappers day 1
will now kill me. Yeah, 25% faster.
Because you would have been, because now you would have been level 2 and had showcase in play, and maybe you actually could have.
That's true. And that specific board showcase would have played. I don't know. Now it's 6-5 in pickup. It's hard to say. So Pop Snapper's got a buff. That's fine. Powder Horn renamed Powdered Flask. Okay. That's what I was calling it anyway, so cool. Shipwreck gained the relic and the property type. Interesting. Cool. Now, okay. All right. Hold on. If Shipwreck is a property... Yeah, did they fix, I forget if they hot fixed it. Did they ever fix Hot Springs being a property? I still don't think it is.
No, I mean, they didn't hot fix it, but maybe it's fixed now. Like,
oh yeah, it got the tag. Yeah, so regular old Hot Springs, I think it was on the last patch, got the property tag. So I get to stop dying on that hill. That's good. And then I'm okay. You could give it to everything else. Then now it's fine. But you couldn't have given it to this before that without me bitching. So it's weird the things I care about. Silencer, if you have exactly 1 weapon, reduce its cooldown. This is a 5% nerf across the board. Slumbering Prior.
Also, did you notice that they like removed the do you think that the other part of it was removed, like the damage?
No.
No, okay.
They almost, well, it's hard to say. This is why it's really good to see it on How Bazaar, because How Bazaar would mention it here, and they don't always. And they don't usually say removed a line, so it's actually hard to say. Let me look up. Let me pull up the updated How Bazaar, because it looks like they've just updated their item. Silencer.
Oh, let's go.
There's actually, that still exists, but there is a change. Wait, let me see. No, they didn't adjust the line at all.
Okay.
They didn't adjust the line, but they did change the enchantment to double damage bonus and reduces cooldown by an additional 25 to double damage bonus and double cooldown reduction. So the obsidian enchant, or no, the shiny enchant.
Yeah.
Now doubles the CDR instead of reducing by an additional 25. So it's the same at diamond.
It's the same at diamond, but shiny is silencer is worse at lower.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense because it was so ridiculous to get a bronze one that gave you 30%.
Right.
40%. Yeah. Okay.
That's actually a super interesting way to solve that problem. That's actually really nice. Yeah, this is the problem with looking at the things just on this. We're missing some of these enchant changes that might have been semi-interesting, but that's okay. We'll look into them and get back to you if any of those things actually matter. But it definitely matters there. Slumbering Primordial and Star Chart gained the relic type. Cool. Okay with those. Atlas Stone is a relic. Atlatl is a relic. Cool. Bad Blocker fixed an issue. Love this. Where it multicast gains 1 multicast for each item over 9 value instead of over 10. So this was the monkey paw solution to Bad Blocker and Rice Baller having the same text, but Rice Baller needed all your items to be 11 before it got multicast, and Bad Blocker only needed 10. Now they both need 10. This is a little awkward because usually you can very easily get things at silver that are going to give you +2 flat on your items.
11 now, right? They both need 11.
Yeah, they both need 11. And so now your rewards card or your truffles that you're getting from usually your silver pitchfork are just going to get you to a flat 10, and you gotta overshoot it now. So yeah, Bad Blocker, tiny bit of a nerf. Colossal Bonsai gained relic. Dragon Tooth relic. Heirloom renamed for Jewelry relic. That's cool. I love that. To give it that tag, they changed the name. Well done. Masterpieces relic. Pygmalion's dagger is now Jabalion dagger to get the relic type. Jabalion drum. Recurve bow. So Jabalion bow is now Jabalion recurve bow. Longbow is recurve bow. Okay. Don't understand. Jewelry is relic. Lumbor's gained the aquatic type. We could all stop bitching on that one. Fantastic. This is one of the few ones that my chat cared more about than I did. So that's cool. We have more innate aquatics. We now have 2, and we still have the one that we can get from Curio. So if we ever get ourselves in a state where we want to play Bob again, that matters. Keychains cooldown reduced to 9 and 6. 6 is actually pretty fast. That's a pretty big cooldown reduction, but they fixed it where it would use all properties. So now it actually works as it was supposed to. Signet ring is a relic. All of these relic tags are going to be hugely consequential to the items that like have relic synergy effects that we're going to get from the new event. So we don't really know the level of the power on this stuff yet. Stained glass window, if you have 5 or fewer items in play, their cooldowns are reduced by 5 and 10. Again, just the general cooldown reduction there. This is significantly bigger than most of the other ones, though. That's kind of odd to me. How much that is? Let me look up. The old stained glass was am I full of lies? 5 and 10%. If you're out in play. Oh, you know what? It updated the static page that I have, so I can't see what the old type was anymore. God damn it. Oh well. T-Set's a relic. Tusk Helm is a relic. By the way, people bitched about Giant Ice Club so much that they Monkey Paw solved it and took Giant Ice Club out of the game, guys. There's no more Giant Ice Club. No one can bitch about it anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
That's one way to describe what happened.
Gone, boys. New item, Utarian Ice Club in the game and has the relic tag. I have a feeling this new item is going to be bitched about. It is the way to solve it. All right, Mac items. Amber, earrings, emerald, all get the relic tag, as does Dragon Breath. The chunk of lead changed. Do you want to talk about this?
This means that you can no longer do the exploit with virus and chunks of lead.
Yep. Where you could just
I'm pretty sure that's the only implication of this change, where you transform chunks of lead in combat to get 1,000,000 chunks of gold with virus.
yep.
That was a thing you could do in the. It was they honestly they removed a hexa halfway through the patch, so you stopped really being able to ever get virus as Mac.
Right.
But
And this is the reason why, and now they turned the Hexa back on.
I don't even know if that's. I think they just disabled the hexa because it was like a trivial fight.
But yeah, I
And
don't
you could
see
just
any listed changes on a Hexa though, so I'm not sure. We're gonna get
yeah,
to her,
I would
but
not be so yeah, I would not be surprised if a hexa was just different.
okay.
But
Yeah, that's fair. Dragon's Breath, gain the relic type, Hourglass, the cooldown reduction. I think this item could have stayed the same. I don't know. I'm not a Mac player, but every time I
yeah,
get
this
this,
is
I'm
like a
deeply
mystery
underwhelmed.
nerf. This is a good card, but I didn't think it was like OP.
Yeah,
It's one of those cards that like it's not very it doesn't look that very impressive because on other heroes you're not as like on Pig you are, but on Vanessa and Dooley you're not nearly as starved for haste and cooldown reduction and charge as you are on Mac.
right.
So it's kind of like this was Mac's item that did the thing that Mac otherwise doesn't get to do, which is reduce the cooldown of stuff.
Gotcha.
So it was good in that sense, but okay, like it's whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
whatever. It's a whatever nerf.
yeah. Okay. Laboratory corrected an issue where your dead laboratory that was supposed to give crit chance to relics or enchanted items only gave crit chance to enchanted relics.
Okay, I mean that's a cool bug fix. That's like a funny bug. It's
That's a
like a
funny
funny
bug.
bug. I'm glad it's fixed. Yeah.
Yeah. So the deadly enchant does what the deadly enchant felt like it should do, but I love that it basically everyone's like the deadly enchant doesn't work, and it's like, oh no, it does. You'll just never figure out when. Um, Memento Mori got relic. Mirror got relic. Palaquin, when you crit with an item, reduce its cooldown. Again, cooldown reduction taken down. Pendulum loses the tool type, gains the relic type. That could be totally interesting considering all the relic synergies. Pendulum, a lot of things are like win an adjacent relic. So I'm super interested in that has any real effect. We'll see.
I mean Max new cards is all relic synergies.
All
So
relic synergies,
all of
right?
these cards being relics are
It's
what makes the new Mac cards functional.
yep,
So Pendulum is definitely one of them. Definitely
yep.
one of his strongest cards. So yeah.
Did he ever have any tool synergies? Did he lose any power with this change?
He loses the ability to buy Pendulum from Orlin or from not Orlin from
Oh,
Orion,
right.
which is a big deal.
It is a big
But
deal because he has a very small pool for Mac, right?
yeah, well, it's actually not that small because all of the catalyst makers are tools for the most
Oh,
part,
okay.
like Mortal and Pestle. So he actually has a high number of tools, and
Okay.
also like Potion Distillery is a tool. So it's still like it's still a good shop. Also, Rapid Injector is a tool. So
Okay.
there's a it's already a good shop for Mac, but definitely not being able to find Pendulum there makes it not significantly harder to find, but harder to find.
That's fair. That's fair.
Unless there's going to be like
A relic
I
vendor.
also wouldn't be surprised if there's like a secret relic vendor, but
I wouldn't either.
that's
I
yeah,
have a
that's also like not in the patch notes, so maybe not.
well, I have a feeling it might be an encounter in
Oh,
the
during
the
during
9.
the
Yeah,
maybe.
I think it could be part of that. Uh so Ritual Dagger, Ruby, Runic Blade, Runic Daggers, Runic Double Bow, Runic Great Axe, anything with the word runic got relic, which is fair. Sapphire got relic. Its cooldown is reduced to 8 seconds, but it now just gives 0.5 more freeze to your items. Fantastic. Happy. Although this scales. So every time it happens, or is that still a static effect? Let me
No,
check that out.
that should be static. I think this is okay. I'm pretty sure this is like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
nerf was a long time coming, honestly.
Oh yeah.
So they just added a bunch of new freeze items for the Mac pack.
Okay.
So while Sapphire maybe wasn't OP, because Mac had a hard time getting into his freeze boards in his last 2 iterations. Basically, like Weasel Pete is not very good. Like Black Ice is really narrow. Frozen Flames is like okay, but wasn't very good after the like cleanse change. So like you had a hard time finding entrance into like a effective freeze board. Like what you wanted after overall was like a bunch of sapphires and then like a bunch of frost potions usually, so that you could have a many long duration multi-target freezes, right? Because
Right.
frost potion is at diamond is 3 targets,
Right.
and sapphires would give you an additional
1 second each.
additional second freeze. So you would have like 2 sapphires, 3 frost potions, and your like bottled
Right.
boiling flask to give your frost, and then you perma freeze their board, right? That was
Yeah.
like that was one version of Mac freeze, and the other version was like Weasel Peed, Black Ice, like poison freeze.
Okay.
And they're both like sort of real builds. It's just you just needed a lot of very particular items for them to do anything.
Right.
Like you never like Weasel Pede was never winning any rounds on his own. Like
Yeah.
so they were kind of like mat items unless you had like the whole build assembled.
Yeah, it was like you needed all of Voltron to put together to suddenly have anything.
Yes, for it to do anything, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I think that included multiple sapphires, right?
Right.
So now the relics have freeze all over them.
Yeah.
So you have a much easier time getting freeze, and so I think that
making the duration less oppressive.
Yeah, and it's going to be a relic too. So with Sapphire also being a relic, like I think this probably needed to happen. Multiples of them are probably still going to be really good. So
but it'll take 2 to get the old static.
Easier,
so
right.
Huh?
Also makes Volcus easier. He has Sapphire.
That's true. Volcus Enforcer, all of his things lost half second on their freeze. That's nice.
Death Knight Reaper has it too.
He didn't matter because if he hit you, you're fucked. It's not the freeze that's the problem there.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just listing enemies that had Sapphire, right? Like there. Yeah, I agree.
And then the cooldown jump second. Secret Formula, Soul Ring, Staff of the Moose, and Tedziddian Dagger all gain the relic type. Apparently, all Mac does his own relics. Peace Rot is no longer a property, but is a relic.
That's a really interesting one.
Does the property loss do anything to you?
No.
Okay.
No, Mac doesn't care about properties, but he does. He does care a lot about having a fast relic. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I think that's a strict buff, I would say, to Peace Rot.
Yeah. Other items. These are mostly going to be monster items. The Cosmic Amulet, Cosmic Plumage. So the Cosmic Creature is apparently a relic because all its shit is relic. Dragonheart is a relic. I have the Colossus, lost the tool type, became a relic type. Feather, when you sell this, reduce your item's cooldown by 246. So that lost a tiny bit of.
Yeah, but they start at silver. So there's no Feather and Wing at Curio anymore.
Yep. And which actually means that Pyg has an even greater advantage in the cooldown reduction race game because we have Boomerang and nobody else. So other people are only going to be able to get these off of monsters or out of the level up upgrade. And we're still going to be able to be pulling them out of monster fights off Boomerang. So we just have a slight relative advantage there in the cooldown reduction race in the late game. Also just ups Boomerang stocks. But lowers Boomerang Bronze. Boomerang Bronze is kind of hot garbage, but you now buy it so that you can buy the next one.
Now, Boomerang Bronze is definitively worse, and then Silver is definitively better. So I think, I don't know. Honestly, like a lot of these changes make me think that Pyg is, especially the level change, the XP change specifically, makes me think Pyg is going to be really a terror early. Like the weapons are going to be a terror early. You're going to be on day one. You're going to have 400 HP, by the way, on day one. And that's if you didn't take fins. If you did take fins, you're potentially even, well, I guess maybe not if it's going to, I guess not because it will be your last node to level up or whatever. Right. But basically you could potentially have like 420 HP and a showcase and just be just wailing on your opponent like on day one. I think.
But then on day two, there's Tanky Yankee and it all goes to shit.
And then they have Tanky Yankee, and then so maybe it's balanced. I'm just trying to think through the implications. Yeah, Nessa crying in the corner. Nessa's never quite crying in the corner. Let's be clear. She's fine. She's fine. Hot Springs gained the property type. Oh, this is where it happened that my thing upgraded. Huzzah! I want to take a moment
To say we did it, chat. We did it. Because I think we've all heard me rail against that enough. I think
Yeah.
I can finally let it go.
You can adjust your
Yeah.
table.
I can remove the Nightbot exclamation mark command for that. I added
You update your guide.
my
The
exclamation mark
percentages
property can no longer rant
the
about
property percentage of Curio has gone up, has doubled.
Fantastic. All right.
Actually, it's more than doubled because 2 items were removed from his pool.
That's true.
And he now has 2 properties instead of 1, so it's more than doubled.
Yeah, I'm gonna remove that page because until those items become usable, because I'll have to go back in and readjust every single one of them because all of our stuff's changed, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. Infernal Greatsword is a relic. Insect Wing also had its CDR reduced by a little bit at the levels, and it is now silver. Talked about that already. Mortal Coil is not a tool, it's a relic. Everything's a relic, by the way. it's like Necronomicon is a relic, that makes sense. Scythe is a relic. Soul of the District is a relic. Upgrade Hammer corrected an issue where the enchantments did not specify that it passes the enchantments. So enchantments from Upgrade Hammer now correctly pass on to the items it upgrades. It always
Enchanted Boomerang is just as crazy as it was last patch. So I actually thought this was going to get fixed, and instead they went the opposite, where they just said,
acknowledged
we're going to make the text match the functionality instead of making the functionality match the text.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's made Boomerang somehow even better than it already was. Like I said, this was the same as it already was, but this plus the feather and wing removal have made Boomerang even more essential.
Yeah. A bunch of other crap. Void Ray, Void Shield 1, all got the relic tab. Zoot Flute, which was previously named Nargile. If you did not know what that was, it was a drop off of Yurden. The cooldown 7 seconds. I'm not sure what it was before, because let's be clear, nobody played this fucking thing. But it slows 2 to 3 targets as it upgrades for 2 flat seconds, where it used to slow 2 targets fixed for 2/3 seconds. So now the upgrade gives it more targets, but the total amount of the slow is fixed. Okay. The change that took the world by storm.
Yeah, the Zoot Flute change.
We'll
be talking about that one for a while.
The Zoot Flute era. Okay. Skills.
Zoot Flute meta again?
Yeah, Zoot Flute. All right. Adaptive Ordnance. When your items run out of ammo, gain 10, 20, 30 regen for the fight. That sounds like a lot of regen.
So this is the skill that's dropped from the day 10 easy monster, right? Adaptive Ordnance. This is what is dropped by
monster no one ever went to.
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Twisted Experiment or something.
Yeah, the leftmost guy who only had like bad potions.
Yes. So I don't know. Now he has this. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess maybe Mac wants this in some builds. It actually, okay, Potion Mac actually would like this.
Yeah,
if
no.
you're Satchel Mac, this is a way better skill than what it was.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was just
it's extremely narrow.
Yeah, it was like, teeny tiny bit of regen for each ammo you had. Like that was crap. This is it might have been ammo item.
Yeah, this is so much better.
For each ammo item you had, it wasn't even per ammo.
No, it's when one of your item. Yeah, it was for each ammo item, but now it's like this can. So like, I think the way this works is if I'm reading this correctly, is that if you ever use, so like Satchel has a bug where it like doesn't reload stuff if they're not out of ammo, right? So already with Satchel, you don't want to take ammo skills. You want to have all your potions be exactly 1 ammo. And so that actually works really well with this. Right. Every time your potions will get used, they'll be out of ammo. And then you'll trigger this, and then your Satchel will then reload them. And then they'll be out of ammo again when they get used again. And the Satchel build is already stacking regen over the fight. That's already the point of the build. So I think this skill now is like, has gone from like a a fun
Nothing.
skill to randomly get that was kind of meaningless to now one of the best skills you can get as satchel potions Mac.
Yeah,
Still kind of now
I
though,
love that
but
kind of stuff where there's
interesting.
a random item or skill that for a random build is really powerful and changes your calculus. That's really fun. You said kind of nothing though. I need to correct you. It was 2 ammo at level 10 for each ammo item. It absolute best. It was 20 regen at level 10.
Yeah, it was horrible. And compare it to Waters of Infinity, which is 20
Yeah,
regen for each non-weapon you had,
right.
which is like 10 times as good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
it was
It
not
was a
not
joke
good.
skill.
It was hot garbage. Aggressive. When you use a weapon, it gains 3, 6, 9, 12 for the fight. Is that an increase?
I'm not even sure.
Uh,
This is like what Sabretooth has, right? Or not Sabretooth, the other one.
yeah, actually, this is a huge buff. It was when you use a weapon, gain 2% crit chance, and yeah, it's the saber-tooth tiger guy.
No, is it
The
Sabretooth? Isn't it the other one? It's the one
the
that drops
wool.
Obsidian Fang, not the one that drops Shiny.
Yeah, yep.
Sabretooth drops Shiny. This is the one that drops the Obsidian Fang, has this.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
the name is not coming to mind.
Hold on. Nope, I don't have it because I can't spell. I would have it if I could. It is dire inglet. Dire inglet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got to warn you guys. We don't know if this is a typo. I'll talk. You know, it used to be 25 and 50. It started at gold. It was 25 and 50 damage. He got it at gold, so it was plus 25 damage. When you have half or more health in your weapons, you have 25 or 50 damage. This was on Reigning Duelist. And you basically, the fight just looked like he was going to kill you, and then suddenly got to half health, and he was a wet noodle, and you were fine, and it was pretty easy to get him there, so it was fine. If they have not announced in any way that the skill level has changed, and they announced a different item of his that its level changed, which leads me to believe it just went from 25 to 60 flat on all of his weapons, this might be one of the stupidest monsters in the game. Like, he might just like delete you in 7 seconds. Like, I'm so
I'm not
terrified.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the most likely thing is that they changed the tier that's on the monster and
yeah.
it's not in the
Now,
patch
if
notes,
they
but we'll
didn't,
see.
they will. If they didn't, they will. The Reddit will be flooded. They will hear about it in 2 days. It will come in at silver, and it'll be a 5 damage change, which you will still feel. He will still be a little bit scary if you don't deal like damage to him fairly quickly. I do love all the fights that have like tactics, and I love that he is a specific fight where you just need to race. There's not a lot. But you don't need to like race all the way. You just need to like get him to half, which is super interesting. So like not even having damage scaling is important, just like front loading, which is kind of fun. But there's a very real chance he's just unplayable. Certainly as a silver freaking monster, if that's 60, if it comes in at 60. So just be careful. We will let you guys know as soon as we find out for sure. And if it is, just do not fight him unless you're God tier. Or you're playing like at Lottle and you could load your damage just immediately. Ambush at the start of each fight, deal damage equal to 10, 20, 30% of the enemy's max health.
Yeah, so how Bazaar is showing on the monsters tab that he has the silver version.
Oh, it is. Okay, so that's updated.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, this is
So
where
he's still buff, but it's only 5 damage.
Okay,
buff.
yeah.
So he's still very doable.
Yeah. And he wasn't very strong before, so he now just can kind of surprise kill you, especially if you're taking him because he's a silver fight. He always would alarm you though, but not be able to kill you because you get him to half. Now he might actually be able to kill you if you're not doing anything. So this skill scales now, starts at 10, goes to 20, up to 30. It was 15 flat. So ambush is just something you can scale if you get it. This was an interesting thing I'd run against every once in a while and just be like, I got a little bit of hit points missing. 30 is big. So that becomes a pretty cool skill to get, actually.
Yeah, I can actually check to see what tier. Okay, so now the bounty hunter, which is the encounter that drops the silver one. So
Drops the silver.
So Vanessa's who
Yeah.
get this from their quest, or not from their quest, but from their like
Yeah, secret
from their
encounter.
event.
Right.
Yeah, they'll have a 10% version instead of a 15% version.
Yeah.
And it'll just be unless they upgrade it, or anyone can get a higher version from the monster skill vendor,
Yeah.
obviously. But it's actually kind of nerfed for Vanessa specifically.
Okay. Cool. Arms race, your items have 2, 4, 6, 8 crit chance for each weapon you have. That is a increase. What level does that come in on Octopus? So Octopus,
So his name is now, by the way, 8-Arm Davy.
No.
They renamed him 8-Arm Davy, and he has diamond arms race.
Holy shit. Okay, this used to be 2%. He used to have 14 crit chance, you guys. Just so you know. No, 16. He used to have 16% crit chance. He now has 48% crit chance. So be very afraid.
He used to have 18% crit chance, right? Because he had 9 weapons, the octopus plus 8 cutlasses.
You're right. He did have 9 weapons. That's weird for an 8-arm monster. Oh no, one was his face.
Because he is one of the weapons.
Yeah. I consider the others are his tentacles, so that's just his face he's bashing you 8 times with.
Yeah, that's his head.
Okay. So
beating you up.
Yeah. Oh, then that's still the case. So 8-Arm Davy is gonna have 56% crit chance.
Yeah, and not only that, like they're tiny cutlasses, right? So they have double crit damage.
Right.
So it's actually more than like a 40% damage increase.
Which, by the way, the latest change, he was not a pushover. He was dealing real damage. He was monster.
Already kind of difficult, yeah.
He's an absolute one. I think you lose in the first volley sometimes if you're not Fat Sack and Pyg.
The one thing is that hyper focus was also nerfed, so the octopus hit itself will come less frequently, but it was only nerfed by 5%.
And I don't think it matters because I think you die in the first volley of the weapons.
Maybe this guy's scary. This guy's hard now for sure.
Yeah. Octopus, I refuse that name, sir.
8-Arm Davy, please.
All right. I guess I'm not dead naming Octopus. All right. We won't dead name Davy. 8-Arm Davy is a terrifying monster with a ridiculous name. All right, Assault Fungus. When any non-weapon is used, slow for 1, 2, 3 seconds. So this is I know my voice kind of tunes out as soon as I read these because I lean over to the other screen to figure out like what the old version was. It used to just be a flat 1 second slow. What is it coming at now?
So now it's 1, 2, 3, and Harrow has the gold version.
He has the gold. Okay, so it's no change for the monster fight. It does mean if you get the skill from a monster vendor, you are significantly more likely to like come in at 1. But it also means that you can get the monster fight twice and get it up to 3, which is pretty spicy. And also Shrouded Figure. But yeah, that's a 3-second slow every time they use a non-weapon. So that's awesome because you would often only go to Harrow once on your weapons board. If your weapons board was decent by that day, it usually is, you wouldn't need any of his stuff. So you would go once. If you got the skill, you just stop going to him. So now you have a reason to go back. Kind of fun. Barnacle Crusted, your aquatic items have their cooldowns reduced. This is the generic cooldown reduction thing. Burning Rage, when you burn, your weapons gain 5, 10, 15 damage for the fight.
This is Infernal's skill.
Yep. That is such a monstrous increase. It was a flat 2. And I'm pretty sure he comes in at gold.
So Infernal has the silver version of this. So
silver,
he's gonna have plus 10.
Plus 10 when he burns. So he doesn't burn very often though, but this skill is very interesting now. I don't know.
He burns at start of combat because he has 2 magma cores, so he burns twice at start of combat, which means that, and like the way Infernal Greatsword works, it has a multiplicative effect. Like
right. So there's 20 flat.
Infernal, so I think Infernal will have a slightly faster kill. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But I think Infernal will have a slightly faster kill.
I mean, it can't not have a faster kill. It will have a faster kill. We're just not sure how much
fair.
we'll
That's
feel
fair.
it. So,
It's hard to tell because of the way Infernal Greatsword works. It's a
it's kind of funky.
Architecture.
Yeah. So Chilling Touch, this is the Lich skill. The first time you freeze each fight, slow all enemy items for 1, 2, 3 seconds. Used to always be 3 seconds, so this is just a flat nerf. I'm assuming Lich isn't coming in at Diamond. So this was just a hot broken skill. So it's brought down quite a bit, so that's worthwhile.
Yeah, he'll now have it at Silver.
Yeah.
And Lich is much easier.
Much easier.
So with this going from this was previously 2 seconds or 3 seconds.
3. It was 3.
It was previously 3 seconds. So like if you have a wide board of weapons, especially Lich should be much easier.
Yeah.
Compared to where it was before, because it's going to be hard if you have very few items and you get hit by the 4-second icicles.
Yeah.
So like you're not good, but everyone who has a wide board of smalls is starting way faster.
Yep. Clean storefront. If you were running a value stacker, you wouldn't you would shrug if you saw this skill. It was 15 flat. You'd be like, all right, cool, whatever. And oftentimes you just, especially if you were doing like a, I'm forgetting the name of it. Especially if you were doing your fixer upper boards, there were just reasons why fixer didn't end up on the left side of the board anyway. And so it became a problem. So it just was never worth using. If you come in at gold, which I'm assuming he does, because that's what the skill was before, that's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, the monster has it at silver.
Oh, okay. All right. It's only 5 at base.
Yeah.
And then you can scale it. Nah, I don't care about it. This is not what I'm going to Shrouded Figure to work on. So, okay. Counter-Strike. So this is the one that was from the weird, like, bee guy on day 7 or 8. And when your enemy uses a weapon, charge all of your items 1 to 2 seconds. The first time your enemy uses a weapon. I'm going to read what it used to be. First 5 times your enemy uses a weapon, charge 1 item. So it was up to 5 times, but it would charge 1 random item. Now your whole item pool gets charged once, and then you could upgrade it and get it all charged twice. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of better. If you have more than 5 items, it's kind of better. If you have 5 or more items, it's kind of better. If you have less than 5
it is
items,
always excuse me, sorry. It is always better. So this is
if you had 3 items, imagine if you had 3 items, you're getting 3 seconds total of charge with this way, but in the previous way you would have gotten 5 seconds total of charge.
But the difference is, though, they would have had to do 5 actions before you get that charge. Now, if they do any one thing at all, your whole board gets into combat faster.
I guess that's true, but that's a difference in, like, it depends on what your opponent's board is like to know which is like preferable.
But it means that you will always get this, whereas before, like, unless you're going against Fat Pig, you will always get a jump of your entire board into combat by you take 1 second off your start of combat time, essentially. Now, if it's you have to
if
beat
they have
them,
a weapon though, they have to have a weapon.
Oh, so yeah, that's true. It's weapon only. That's true. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, I find it interesting, and I would upgrade this.
In most real scenarios, it's probably better than the previous version, I would say.
And
because you almost always have 5 items or more anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you're like have larges.
Yeah. And if they, if they're doing a 1 weapon board or a slow weapon, like a club or whatever, or femur, then you're still going to get value out of this, whereas you kind of wouldn't. He would kill you by the time you would have gotten all 5 swings. So anyway, it's just like, it's conditionally better, conditionally worse, but I find it more interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be more often better than it is worse.
Yeah.
Compared to the previous version.
Critical investments, again. Oh, no, this is a crit chance. Your toys and properties have 10, 15, 20% crit chance. Interesting. Sure.
Is that did it used to be toys?
No. Critical invest. Oh, wow. Wow, that's a pretty big change. So this was just properties, and it was 10% at silver. So they didn't change the 10%. They might have changed the total scaling. Unfortunately, Bazaar updated, so now we can't get the full data on what it was. I'm having to use Mobalytics. And they don't tell me what it was at Golden, but it's toys as well. It applies to toys and properties.
Yeah, so that's a huge buff, right? Like
Yeah.
that to apply to toys also is really strong.
Yep. Yo-yo. Yeah. Cryo Mastery. First 2, 4, 6 times you shield each fight, freeze one item for 1 second.
So let me just see what version of it Volcus is going to have. So he's going to have it at gold. So he's actually okay. So the freeze duration is nerfed though. The previous version was
this
the
is
first 3
completely
times
nerfed.
freeze 1 for 2 seconds, right?
Yeah. And
so previously was a 2-second freeze.
And you only had to freeze 3 times to proc this. Now you have to freeze 6 times to get all 3 of your procs. So it was the first.
You're not even going to have that version. He has the gold version. So the version you're going to play against.
Okay, so the first 4 times you freeze.
Is 4. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. So one more freeze, but a 1 second freeze. So a better ice club skill, a better general freeze. It's a better trigger skill.
Better at freeze triggers, worse at actually keeping
at lockdown
items locked down.
Yeah,
which is fine. I mean, this skill was insanely strong.
Yeah. Diamond Fangs nerf, just like all CDR things. It was actually it was 30. So it now goes down to bronze though, so I don't know what he starts at. He probably starts at bronze.
Let me check here.
And 50 was always diamond. So this is just adding a bronze tier.
So he has it at bronze now.
Yep.
So
okay.
Sabretooth will drop it at bronze, which is definitely significantly worse. So the 20% is a I mean, of course the saving grace is like, but your feather is that much better, your wing is that much better, your whatever other CDR you had to combine with this 20% is now going to be more effective. So
but you literally have to see Shrouded Figure 3 times and hit all Diamond Fangs to get this all the way up, or see the monster twice.
Yeah, just the monster skill vendor.
Yeah.
I mean, the monster skill vendor can just, if you're on a late day, you can just sell you the diamond version of it straight up.
That's true. That's true.
There's that, but
you're right.
I mean, obviously that's insanely rare, but it's already a rare vendor.
Yeah. Distributed systems.
This is
it used to be haste 2 items for 2 seconds.
Yeah, this is on the monster that had the one that
weapons platform or whatever.
Weapons platform.
Yeah, so that's a pretty significant nerf to weapons platform.
So I think there was some other change to him though. If you scroll down, I think maybe it might make sense to talk about it together. Since we're talking about...
all right. Well,
because I think there's another. If you scroll down to the bottom, I think there's another change to weapons platform.
Not to him specifically, no. But there might be. Oh, there we go. Distributed systems diamond tier. Okay.
So it's the diamond tier one. All right.
Gotcha. So I think it does the same thing at diamond tier. It just means, why did they do that change?
I think they just basically made it so that it no longer upgrades, right? So the previous distributed systems was like a gold and had an upgrade and was upgradable, and now it's like a diamond start. So you can't buff this skill beyond the version you get from the monster, I guess.
Okay, but it is still haste your items for 1 second. Oh, you're small. It's just all small items instead of 2.
It used to be haste 1, haste 2. Haste 2 small items for 4 or something.
2 for 2.
Oh, 2 for 2. Okay.
Well, that's it. That's at the low end. I'm not even sure. Yeah, 2 for 2 at gold and 3 for 3 at diamond.
Yeah, so now it's just diamond only, and it's all for 1.
All for 1.
Which is, yeah.
Interesting. It's a Dooley buff, right? It's a haste trigger buff.
I mean, this skill is really strong for sure.
Yeah. Draconic Rage. When you use a medium item, burn item gains 396 burn for the fight. So that is the one that's coming off Dragon. That is quite a bit less, I think. It used to be 10.
This one used to...
It used to be flat 10.
Okay.
And now I think it's probably coming in at 6.
So he has it at diamond, so it's going to be 9.
9 from him. Okay. But if you pick it up from a monster skill vendor, it's not always...
It'll be much weaker, yeah.
Yep. Equivalent exchange, when you heal or regenerate, charge 1 poison 1 second. So it's just they added or regenerate to this. Just makes this stronger. This is the thing you got from Joyful Jack.
Yeah, this is a huge Mac buff. So you really wanted to go to... Yeah, you really wanted to go to Joyful Jack anyway as Mac because he has Poppy Field. He has 2 gold extracts. He has Floor Spike, which is sometimes useful. And this skill, which you would get randomly, wasn't very useful um, because you would not necessarily have a way to heal.
Yeah.
But you almost certainly have a way to heal or gain regeneration. And so it's much, much stronger. It's especially stronger when you aren't like so the build so like if you're like a poppy field weapons build, then this skill is like whatever because you don't necessarily have that many poison items unless you have like a enchanted something. Or sorry, you do have poison items, but you don't necessarily have poison items that you want to charge
Right.
because like your rapid injector and your poppy field are passives, right? They don't have a cooldown. So unless you had floor spike, which is like not even that good to charge because it just gets charged anyway whenever you use a weapon, it's like kind of whatever. Or you had like an adrenal converter, which is like yeah, it's okay to charge, but it's just like all it is what happens when it gets cast is that it's like a self poison proc.
Right.
So it's like not again not that impactful to cast. The difference is that now if you're like a Mac build that is like a non-weapon regen something like that, previously you wouldn't have been able to heal at all because you had no lifesteal weapons because you're a non-weapon build.
Right.
So now you can regen and charge poison items, and you actually have poison items you want to charge,
Right.
as opposed to the weapons builds kind of counterintuitively don't have poison items you
Right.
want to charge necessarily. But yeah, so I think this is a big Mac buff, and just like when we get to the other one, that one's going to be a big pig buff. When
Yep.
we get to the other one, that was changed. So
Yep. There's extreme comfort in the meantime, which is good because this was just such a feels bad skill to get off of retiree. Now it's when you heal or gain regen, not just heal. Your shield items gain 3, 6, 9, 12 instead of 1. And so that's actually a semi decent amount of in combat scaling. It also means in the early game, if you are doing like the robe and bushel combo, it is actually very strong. Robe brings a second off of your bushel, and then bushel will double combat skill your robe. So this is a nice combo. I think this is more a bushel buff than anything because now bushel just plays a little bit better on the shield boards for a little bit longer than it used to. So that's fun.
yeah, I mean, it will make retiree slightly harder.
Yeah.
Because his bandages will now be buffed.
Yeah. The other thing to look out for is that this is a pretty big buff to freeze pig. This now means that your cold room is giving in combat scaling to your igloo. So you get to cut out the Auradome middleman. And every time your cold room procs, or every time you freeze at all, and that's including your igloo freezes, you gain regen. Every time you gain regen, your shield items gain 3, 6, 9, 12, right?
And then
So
the obsidian enchant on your igloo does more
right.
damage.
So yeah, so now you can run the Auradome package without Auradome. Obviously not as strong of scaling, but it is scaling. So having shield scaling, every time you freeze, you will regen. Every time you regen, you gain more shield. Every time you freeze, use your shield. And now whatever enchant you have on your igloo is a when you freeze procs off a percentage of your shield. So if that's poison, burn, obsidian, that's cracked, right? That's like a now you have in combat damage
like
scaling.
Restorative too, right? Like it
Yep.
can be good. It's not just it's any type of non-proc or sorry, any type of non what you want to call it, like non-status effect, like basically any type of percent damage or percent heal is really strong with this, I think.
Yeah, so I think, and then even in the early game, you can use something like your hot stones or whatever to get a little bit of value out of shield. Yeah, it's just it's super interesting. But it definitely, if you got this from that monster, you might be thinking pretty hard about going into the freeze package because like automatic in combat scaling on that combo is pretty cool. Finesse shield, while your enemy has more health than you, your shield items have their cooldowns reduced by 5, 10, 15. This is a reduction, but apparently, Walter, this was bugged.
I'm not sure if this one was bugged. The one with health, your health and regeneration items have reduced
CDR.
cooldown. Yeah, that one was for sure bugged. It was active all the time, whether or not your opponent actually had more health than you.
Okay.
This one may have been similarly bugged. I'm not
Right.
sure. Await further testing, but
Yeah, because it is conditional CDR, we never grabbed it, so we never tested it. So I will now have to test to find out. But, like all CDR things, it's reduced. We didn't grab this thing anyway, but if it was effective all the time, maybe I should have been. So we'll test it and find out. But it's just the regular CDR reductions that's happening everywhere in the game to kind of make the day like 12, 13, whatever, instant combat stuff a little bit harder to put together.
And remember that even with these numbers reduced, like if you're at the end of the game and you have
and you're
6
stacking
different CDR
Yep.
effects, they're actually going to be higher.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you'll kind of pass a point in the game where the new text of the CDR is kind of making it so actually CDR is stronger. It's just that point is going to come pretty late in the game, I think, after day 10 or 12.
Yep. Yeah, the no diminishing returns is going to have a pretty big impact. It's also a huge phonograph buff because everything you're stacking past cutting the CDR in half, every additional piece of cooldown reduction that you were doing on phonograph was pretty diminished, and now it's not. So, yeah. Fire starter at the start of each fight, burn 15, 25, 35. This is down from like a weird 17, 27 something it was. Or no, it was a flat 17, I think.
It was 17, yes. It was 7. One of the weirdest, one of the most random numbers to put on a...
And now it scales.
Infernal Frigate. Yeah, yes. So Infernal Frigate has a silver version of this.
Silver version. So he slightly reduced. Cool. That wasn't really what you were terrified of.
I mean, you weren't afraid of this guy anyway. This guy's really weak anyway.
Yeah,
this
he's
is
really
the guy
weak.
with trebuchet and pop snappers.
Yeah,
this guy's weak.
So Flame Dancer, which was on, my God, I hate that this guy which was on Flame Dancer, who's now called Tempest Bravo. Guys.
Tempest Bravo. Oh,
Tempest Bravo. I can't with the
What's the face has this. Corsair has this too, right? Corsair has the silver version of this.
Yeah, Corsair has the silver version of the. Oh no, this is Firestarter. This isn't the Flame Dancer. I'm sorry.
No, Flame Dancer is Corsair.
Oh yeah, no, it's Flame Dancer. It's Flame Dancer. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought and looked up. Yeah, so yeah, this comes on him, and it also comes on Corsair. So Corsair is going to get 15%, and he's going to get 10. And it used to be, I don't know what it used to be honest with you guys. I can pull it up. They keep buffing the skill though. It used to be like
used to be less.
Yeah.
It was 2% at one point, yes.
It was
2% at one point.
It was flat 2, then flat 5. Now it starts at 10 and scales up. So Corsair got 10% more crit chance, just to warn you guys. Because Corsair is not scary anymore at all. Foreboding Wind, Steel double.
They might have done something else to Corsair though. I'm looking at his thing. His final flame is now bronze. I remember
there's a change. Also. We'll see in a minute. Okay. I'm sorry this thing is running so long, you guys, but there's a lot. Foreboding Winds, your weapons deal double crit damage. Okay. What was that? Oh no, shit. This is huge, you guys. This is really big. This is the skill that is on
Lord of
the Wastes that you're going to anyway to try to get your pendulum. And this was the skill that you would get, and it would give 2% to all items whenever an item is used, and you would just never click on it because it would murder yourself. Now it is just literally doubles the crit on your weapons. Fire. Awesome. We don't know what's happening to Lord of the Wastes board though, so he might become difficult, and this might be terrifying, but the item is pretty fantastic in its own right, so that's great. Hyperfocus, if you only have one medium item, cooldown is reduced by 25%. This used to be 30. So this is the one that you get from Davy. 8-arm
Davy.
8-arm Davy. Hunker down. Okay. What the F? Can we just take a moment? Can we take a moment with what the hell this hot nonsense is? So Hunker Down, let me look it up, is a day 2 skill that comes off of the that's not the one. No, this is the treasure turtle. I'm sorry, this is the treasure turtle skill. Yeah. So at least this is the day 7 skill. This is the skill that came off the treasure turtle. When the sandstorm starts, you take 25, 50, 75 less damage. Just cold stop, right? Which means Mac, if he gets this and has the Sandstorm skill, in 7 seconds, and he might be able to speed that up, just takes like 50% less damage. Just
Yeah, I mean the monster will drop the silver version.
Yeah, so
thankfully.
25.
Yeah, so but if you get this at a higher rank, I think if you get either gold or diamond of this, I do think with the Sandstorm potion it's kind of insane. I think at 25% it may not, I'm not sure if that's good enough.
Right.
But I think at 50 or 75 it's unbelievable.
Just 7 seconds into combat, like wet noodle the enemy is pretty.
Yeah,
is a pretty
it's
strong
really
combo.
Cool. It's cool.
It's so cool. It's so fun. Like that you can make a build around this, and a build that you use as an item that you wouldn't use. Like that's very fun. I'm happy with it, even though I will mauled every time it happens to me.
Yeah, I don't think you'll lose this that often.
I don't think you will either, but this will actually probably be a stand up and clap loss. This will probably be like, he did it, boys. He did it.
Yeah.
Ice Bullets corrected an issue where the targeting priority of the skill was set incorrectly to active weapons rather than ammo weapons. This is the shit item anyway. And then it now starts at Silver Killer. When you freeze, reload a weapon 1, 2, 3. So it could just get eaten by regular weapons that didn't have ammo before. So yeah, when you freeze, reload. Cool. That's playable.
It's a Vanessa only skill. It's like it was not good in the first place and bugged, and now I guess they fixed the bug and they're gonna see if it's still useless, and then if it is, they'll probably buff it again. To be honest, because I've never seen anyone take this skill on purpose. By the way,
right? Well, if you get an obsidian enchant on your what's it called? What's the thing that like spam freezes?
What you call it, a primordial depth charge. But the thing is that the obsidian enchant on primordial depth charge is just a flat 20 damage. It doesn't even scale off your burn or poison number, so it's like not even, I don't know.
But
there was a theory where like you could, in theory, this would reload your depth charge, right?
Your depth charge would reload itself
if it had obsidian, but like
you got other ways to do that.
That's so narrow, and you have a million ways to just get a second ammo on it anyway. Like that was fair. Not even. All
right, knife tricks. Actually, this is probably buffed, as Walter pointed out to me. When you use a weapon, reduce its cooldown by 4% for the fight. Because it doesn't have diminishing returns after a couple of casts of this thing, it is probably actually doing better. So if you manage to run late or like really spam a weapon, it is going to be stronger. So cool. Does this mean? Let me check. Knife trick. Nobody had that. Okay, cool. That wasn't on Arcane or anything. He just has the built-in version in his weapon.
Yeah, that's not a monster skill. It's just I think it's a skill everyone has. Actually.
Yeah, it is. It is everyone available. Long strides. If you have 5 or fewer items, your items have their cooldowns reduced by 5-10. Just the general cooldown reduction. Pacifist, renamed from minimalist. If you have no weapons, your items cooldown reduced by 10-15. Again, the general reduction that's happening to all of our cooldown reduction skills. Neophiliac, pretty big change. The triggers now only charge an item for 1 or 2 seconds. 1 at gold, 2 seconds at diamond. This was one of the items that if somebody pulled off, it was just like, as soon as they cast one thing, you're dead.
Yeah, this is one of the strongest. It was one of the strongest monster skills in the game. It was also one of the ones that enabled like the most BS things possible, like the highest high rolls in the game, like instant boulder and stuff like that. Stuff that actually was unbeatable almost always involved Neophiliac, because you could get it had the ability to give you like the previous diamond version had the ability to give you like 5 3-second charges that could easily come in just instantly at the start of combat if you had icicle or magma core, or if one of those things were enchanted, or if you're Vanessa and you have Clamora. So you had a lot of ways to just multiple big charges at the start of combat is crazy. So I think
it used to go up to 3. It used to start at 2, go to 3.
Yes. Yeah, it used to go to 3 seconds, which is a huge charge amount. So now he'll drop the gold version.
Yeah.
And it's still extremely strong, but more reasonable.
Yeah. Panic the first time you fall below 50% each fight, reload 1, 2, 3 items. And charge 1, 2, 3, 4 ammo items 1 second. Does he have it at bronze? This is for apprentice?
This is Dabbling Apprentice. Yes, he has it as bronze, and
Okay.
this is a decent buff to him.
He gets a
So if
1 second
you
charge on his stuff.
Yeah, so if you were like barely racing him before, maybe you lose now.
Yeah. Although
But
you
he's not
shouldn't
that
have been
hard.
barely racing him before, ever since the big takedown to bottle lightning. But
Yeah, that's fair. I also think that once they added the 50 HP to everyone, you probably just beat him anyway. And also
now you're
you're
going to be
also
a
going to
level
be
ahead.
higher level.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably just easy.
It's probably fine. Passive is formerly minimalist. We already did that.
But it's good to know because he has an event ticket. So just you don't
Yep.
want to skip him because he has a temple expedition ticket. So it's good to
That's true.
know that you can beat him. So that's
Yeah,
important.
that's true. If you're just running weak, and you were nervous about him anyway, although you don't have a choice, he's the weakest one you get to fight, and he's got one of the better item drops. Maybe we don't know.
In theory, sometimes yeah, maybe actually for day 3 he might actually be the weakest straight up. Because if Frost Street Challenger is hard now.
Oh yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about Frost Street Challenger yet. Yeah, hold on to your buckets, boys. Power Broker, your weapons have damage equal to 1, 2, 3 times your income. So this just means that this can scale now. This is basically it is oh god, what's the skill that we have? We have a skill version of this where you get your weapons gain damage equal to their income, and then you can upgrade it and it doubles each time. His was just a flat skill. Now it comes into where we can upgrade it as well. So that's interesting. And you get this from Shark from the
Lone Shark, yeah.
Yeah, Lone Shark. Purifying Flame, when you gain regen, burn items gain 1, 2, 3 burn for the fight.
So this is the one dropped by he's actually one of the poison guys. This is also this is the skill that's OP on Athenor Mac build. So where was this guy? I'm trying to find which person has this, which monster has this.
This is the Foundational Revenant guy.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Foundation. Okay, that's why, because they changed his name.
That's why I couldn't find damn name.
Okay, Foundation Revenant, yeah. They renamed him. This guy, this skill, if you have like Athenor Satchel potion build, you get a lot of regen procs, and then all of those regen procs become +2 flat burn on your Athenor, which applies whenever you use a potion. So this skill is again really strong for a specific Mac build. Something to look out for.
Yeah, it basically was just flat 1, and now it can scale up to 2 and 3. So that's the change here.
And the monster has it at 2.
At 2, okay.
So the monster is stronger too, technically. Although
it's Thermal. It's just stacking on his 6-second 1
it's just
burn thing.
Yeah,
If his non-flame stacking Thermal was killing you in the first place,
okay,
guys,
fair.
We got to talk about your build. Paramania, when you use a large item, burn 10, 20, 30. I don't even know what the hell that was.
Who has that?
It was when you use a large item, burn 10, so now it scales. Pyromania. It's not on anybody. This is just a skill somebody can get. I don't see any tags on it.
This might be one of the
new.
This might be one of the like the rogue monster skills for like a future monster. Like there's also the anything to win skill.
Yeah,
which is like whenever you use a non-weapon item.
Yeah, or it could be on like some of the enchantment fights or something in the new fights we don't know about. But this
that's true. That's true. It could be in the temple. Yeah, that's possible.
Could be in the temple. But we do not yet know what this goes on. But it is pretty interesting-ish. Maybe no, I don't know. It's fine. We'll see.
If you have Bill Board, that's a large item that goes every second. But
yeah, relax, bro.
What else you do with it?
When you slow, gain regen for the fight, so it scales now. The shitty skill that you used to get from Yrden. So yay, Yrden two consecutive shitty buffs. Yay him. Sharpened Steel, he still completely sucks.
I mean, he drops the Zoot flute.
He does that Zoot Whistle. He does that Zoot Whistle. And so now if you don't get the magnificent Zoot Whistle, you have a consolation prize, is that your shitty skill scales. Sharpened Steel. Yeah, the skill that you should not pick because it just weakens your pool if you want to upgrade. Now you can upgrade better. Yay. Sharpened Steel. When you use a weapon, adjacent items gain 3, 6, 9, 12 crit chance for the fight. This is, I believe, an increase on Sharpened Steel. And this was the one that came off of Bouncetron. So let me look up what it was.
Yeah, I think previously it was 6% at the version he dropped.
It was flat 4 actually.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, it was flat 4, and he comes in at gold. So Bouncetron 9% crit chance from 4. So all of his items just gain 5 crit.
His cyber security is very likely to crit. So the thing about this fight is his weapons don't have any damage on them. Yeah. Really. Yeah. But his cyber security is like 740 damage. Right. And it'll be a little bit lower because of the cybersecurity nerf, but his cybersecurity is much more likely to crit now. Yeah, it was getting 4 crit chance every time you use your 2-second katana or your 3 swings off your 5-second pulse rifle. No, it's only adjacent. So the way it's positioned in the fight is that he's on the cybersecurity is on the far right for some reason.
Okay.
So it's just way more likely to crit because it doesn't actually get that many pulse rifle like it's going to go 3 times, right? So before it had a 12% chance to crit on its first hit, and now it has a 27% chance.
More than twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's enough that opening hit can kill you. So yeah, and by the second round, he's definitely gonna crit on you and you're fucked. So cool. Although you shouldn't get to the second swing cybersecurity or you're doing things wrong. Short up. When you heal or gain regen, charge a shield item. This is the one that you got from the what's his name? I always forget that monster.
Roaming Isle.
Island, yeah. And this is like the other skill, but it's for us instead of for Mac. So this is going to be on our cold room igloo combo. So every time you freeze, you gain regen. Every time you freeze, you charge a shield item. So now every time you freeze, your igloo will get some charge. If you manage, by the way, to get cold room, igloo, run no other shield items, and put a phonograph on your igloo, you can get this thing and just like a tiny bit of cooldown reduction so that you get your 7 to 6. You can now spam this thing. You can now completely insta your igloo. So that can be amazing and cracked. This is a very, very strong combo now for us. It used to just be heal, so we weren't able to pull it off, but now with cold room.
It also means potentially that if you get restorative igloo, I'm not sure if this will work, but it's possible
you get double
restorative igloo.
Wait, no. No, it doesn't restorative just up the regen. Restorative doubles the regen.
No. But igloo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because it'll be like you'll get a regen proc from cold room.
Yeah.
And you'll get a heal proc from igloo.
Yep.
So you'll be able to charge 2 seconds for each freeze on the igloo.
Yep, that's true too. Yeah, so there are ways now to get your igloo infinite if you happen to get the skill. This is very, very strong for freeze. If you manage to pair this with the other monster skill, you're just styling because you get in combat scaling on your spammy igloo. Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Maybe something for like if you're an enchanted item guy, if you got a shielded matchbox and a sauna, maybe there's something there as well.
Yep.
So there's a couple different combo options.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since the sauna just heals when you burn, but then it will regen when it casts. But yeah. All right, Snowstorm.
It's even more. Yeah, it's even more charge or shield item procs on the sauna because you have the two. You have 2 procs now instead of just 1, right?
Yeah.
Because like you were already getting the heal one, and now you're getting heal and additional from.
Yeah. Okay, this is the one we absolutely have to look on How Bazaar to see if the number is correct or if it was a typo.
It's correct.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you guys. Okay. Just do not go to Frosty Challenger. It is Dabbling Apprentice. 1000%. Never ever go to Frosty Challenger. When you freeze your weapons gain, I would just like you to know that this skill was when you freeze your weapons gain 2 damage for the fight. This is the largest single buff to any item in the history of the game.
Yeah, and he has Icicle, so his weapons start out as plus 30 damage.
Plus 30 damage.
Before they were getting plus, like, he has Hand Axe, so that, okay, and he has Snow Globe. So, okay, so he goes Icicle, right?
Yeah.
Then he used, then his Hand Axe is now, whatever, is now 40 damage, right? Then
45,
his Snow Globe
yeah.
goes off at 7 seconds, and now it's 75 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then his weights also goes off at 6 seconds, so it's 85. So he hits you 85 on the first hit, and then the Frozen Bludgeon also, he has Frozen Bludgeon, which is also when you freeze, your weapons gain 6 damage. So,
yes, it does.
So his Hand Axe just one-shots you. It like just does like 100 damage the first time, and then like 250 damage the second time.
Yeah.
Or something.
So if Frozen Bludgeon doesn't kill you, which it probably should in 13 seconds, then you have a hot 3 seconds to live.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure this guy just kills everyone in 16 seconds and probably kills you in 13.
Right. Sorry, try not to laugh so hard, but for a day 3. All right, I'm losing my mind, guys.
There's no way this 0 is supposed to be here. This 0 is a typo.
So dumb. It's so dumb. Okay, for a day 3 monster to have a 16-second clock, like, I mean,
what's kind of interesting about it is that if your build is really fast,
then you don't care.
And you can actually do 450 damage inside 13 seconds.
Yeah.
If you get the skill, it's insane.
Yeah.
If you have any way to get early freeze, it's unbelievable. Shatter was already a good skill, and this thing is, I mean, okay. I think this is going to get hot fixed, basically.
Yeah, no, it's going to get, don't worry about this for too long. Just do not go to Frost Street Challenger. Just don't. You save yourself the headache. You're just not going to win that fight. We don't kill anything in like that period of time on day 3. Like that's just, a 16-second really clock is threatening on day 7. Like that's a thing they put on like the burn monsters to make you terrified on day 7. And now it's on a flat damage on day 3. Wow. All right. Table setting. Your leftmost weapon. This skill, we don't know what it goes on yet. We've never seen it before. Your leftmost weapon has 25 to 50 damage. Your rightmost weapon has its cooldown reduced by 5 and 10%. Really cool flavor. I assume this is going to be a jewel skill. Probably going to go on a monster that's utilizing.
Definitely looks like a jewel skill and is potentially from a unreleased monster fight.
Yeah. Yeah,
so it's going to be in the monster skill pool for now, I guess.
Yeah, I find that just a very interesting, both flavor text and like just mixed use skill. Pretty fun. Also, as always, if you're running a single weapon, you could put both on it, so you can get CDR and damage on your single weapon. Thick Hide, when you slow, charge 1 item 1 second. Pretty big nerf to Thick Hide. I think that was 2 seconds before. Oh, no, never mind. This is the one that didn't change at all. I'm sorry. When you slow, it used to be charge parenthesis S 1 item, because a long time ago, it was charge 1 item at gold and then 2 items at diamond, and then they just moved it up to diamond to nerf it, but they never removed the apostrophe S, and so this change is just to fix the apostrophe S. I got baited by that twice in a row now, when I read it before and I read it now. Tiny Dancer, if you have at least 7 items in play, your items have their CDR. Again, just a general CDR reduction. Toxic Flame.
That's a Dooley Vanessa nerf, by the way. This skill is Dooley Vanessa only. Tiny Dancer, and it was one of their strongest skills at silver. So this is quite a big deal. This is going to significantly reduce the access to CDR for wide boards for Dooley and Vanessa. So this one's pretty significant in my opinion.
Okay, cool. And Toxic Flame is kind of completely changed. It is, we thought it might be a typo, but it doesn't appear to be, because it's also showing up in How Bazaar. When you burn or poison, essentially your burn and poison items gain 2 poison and 2 burn, right? Like when you burn or poison, your poison gains 2, your burn gains 2.
It's conflagration for burn and poison on one skill.
Yep. So it
It's
can
a
go.
Vanessa Dooley Mac only skill.
Yep. So it can go across every time you burn or poison. Both are getting scaled. Every time you burn, it'll scale itself. So yeah, this is a bit nuts.
This skill is nuts on Mac. This skill is so good on Mac. The ability to scale it. Like, okay, can you just like what about just Poppy Field? Like, forget about burn.
I know,
just
right?
Put it on Poppy Field, right? Every time you poison, your Poppy Field gets 2 more poison number. Just the silver. Like, isn't it just nuts?
Yeah, that's just nuts. Yeah,
your scaling goes absolutely crazy.
Yeah. All right. Toxic Friendship, when you use a friend, poison 1, 2, and 3. I think this is the skill that came from the shepherd guy.
Yeah, Zookeeper. Zookeeper, yeah, has it.
Yeah, I'm just looking up what the old one was. Yeah, this was when you use a friend poison 1. So it starts at 2 and then it scales a little better. Or it probably still starts at 1. So it just scales. Yay. Whoop. Maybe Dooley cares. I don't think he does. Maybe Vanessa cares. She probably doesn't. Trained, when you slow your weapons, gain 5, 10, 15, 25 damage for the fight. Is this the one that's on Hide the Prince?
I think this is the one that's on Kyber Drone, I believe.
Oh yeah, this is a cool change, you guys. This is a cool change. So the Kyber Drone, when you slow, used to hit 1 weapon, and now it hits all of your weapons. So when you slow, your entire weapons package gets a little bit more. So now you can
he does have, by the way, they also changed him. This is another, he now has silver insect wing and not gland or whatever. Or he has silver insect wing. So he has insect wing.
Yeah, I thought he did. I thought they made that change last.
Maybe he did, but he was bronze before. So now it's
silver. Yeah, that's true.
I'm looking at the fight. Yeah, because now it's silver.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Cool.
Okay, because Pyro also, and then they're also showing as Pyro is having 2 bronze cinders. So I don't know if that's also a change that is not noted. But current patch or the previous patch,
he had a bronze and a silver
and a silver one. So, but it's currently showing he has 2 bronze ones. Maybe that's
not correct. I've been planning on updating my page for the monster fights for a long time, and so this is going to give me a good motivation to do it, because it seems like they did a lot of nerf or a lot of stealth monster changes, and so just having a place to document all those, I will hopefully get that done soon for us.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like they did a lot of honestly, it's good. Like, a lot of their monster fights needed like some kind of pass or some kind of small fixes to make things make more sense, make their boards make more sense, or you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of weirdness with it. So I'm actually really happy they did it, but
yeah. So trickle-down economics used to be when you use a large item, haste another item for 3. It now hastes all of your items for 1/2 seconds. This is the one that is on Awakened District. And he gets it coming in at gold. No, he gets it at diamond. So it'll be a 2-second full board haste instead of randomly hitting. And so now it's definitely...
It used to be when you used a large, haste a medium or small for 4 at diamond. So now it's haste all your other items for 2 at diamond, which is way better.
Yeah, and so he's going to get 4 seconds of haste on Soul of the District at 7 seconds, which means Soul of the District is now going to swing at 9.5 seconds, guaranteed, whereas sometimes, guaranteed, whereas I guess it was being procced before, though.
No, I think he might actually be easier because the haste is shorter.
But he's getting
hitting Soul, but it was always hitting Soul before anyway, right? Because
you're right. He was always hitting Soul anyway. It just falls off faster. So if you survive the first swing, you already won this fight anyway. But if you survive the first swing, the second one's coming slower, is the punchline. But it also is a little less oppressive for your enemy to have picked up the skill. Although you can use it on all your other items, so it's a bit of a Dooley buff, a large item that hastes his whole board.
Insane William board buff, by the way. Billboard with haste all your items every 1 second for 2 seconds.
Yeah, actually, you're right. That is an insane billboard buff. Yeah, just like perma haste whole board. Yeah. Oh shit, that's hot. Okay, spicy. Good call. Void Rage. When you burn, haste 1 item for 1 second. Cool. Waters of Infinity, you have 10, 20, 30, 40 regen for each non-weapon item you have. That is pretty strong compared to the hot garbage it used to be. This was 10. Oh no, this was the 10 regen for each non-weapon, so it just scales now.
Yeah, this one was always good. It's just they fixed the versions of it that the same. A lot of the changes are just they just extended the like the rarities of these monster skills. Like
yeah, but just to warn you, Oasis Guardian
Diamond
comes in at silver, meaning that he now is going to have, I don't know, 50 more flat regen. So just start a fight 50 flat regen on that monster is gonna be noticeable. Gonna be very noticeable if you were weak damaging against him. So
that's true.
Weapons platform.
I mean, this guy's pretty easy, honestly.
He is pretty easy. Yeah, he is pretty easy. But like he will be. You have to have damage scaling now. You just can't kill him with like a static amount of damage. He's going to be a damage scaling check, or you could always scale defensive and still beat him. His femur just didn't scale fast enough. All right, weapons platform. We already talked about distributed systems. Went up to diamond to kind of level out the change to him. Hex is turned back on, but we don't know of any changes to her other than the abuse of one of her items changed. So Hexa might still be as farmable as she was. You just need one small item on your board and a tiny bit of sustain, and she kills herself.
It wouldn't surprise me if they altered her in some way to make her like less trivial to just beat if you do like the trick.
Yeah,
with the viruses. But maybe they didn't. Maybe they think that the only thing that was a problem with the fight was the fact that you could put a bunch of chunks of lead on your board and transform them all for free.
Yeah.
But
Printing Duelist gunpowder moved to silver, the nerf that shook us all. Okay, cool. Foreman,
I think they meant all talk moved to silver when they typed this patch note. Because the gunpowder already was silver.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then we see on How Bazaar that all talk is silver, so that makes sense. Yes. And that kept it from being fucking terrifying. So that's
don't
good.
worry, I'm rewriting, I'm editing their patch notes for them.
Okay, we're just gonna send them an email after this.
Yeah, I think you meant all talk here.
Yeah.
Just FYI,
Cog is buffed to gold tier on Foreman. So cool.
He's kind of a real enemy now too. He does a lot of damage now.
He does a lot of damage, yeah. Void Colossus, Void Energy, and Void Range to Diamond tier, but they like leveled that thing out, so they just kind of neutralized it, so it's not any different for them. Loan Shark Power Broker to Silver tier, so this is the one that scales now, and he comes in at Silver, so that's nice. Lord of the Waste has a new loadout. We don't know what that means, so we have no idea what Lord of the Waste is going to be like, except that he has that killer skill. So his weapons have double crit damage. So interested to see what happens there. He did have Ruglotl back in the day, so there's a chance that pops off if they give him a couple more weapons. So we'll see if he becomes terrifying, because he was too much of a pushover. New day 2 monster, super interesting. Ventriloquist. Friendly Doll, Silver Friend, 3-second cooldown, deal 5, 15, 25 damage. It'll start at 5. If this is your only friend, it has 50, 75, 100% crit chance. I just like to highlight that. So this is a 3-second monster drop on day 2. It is a Fang. That is a friend tag, just for funsies, in case you're, I don't know, a Dooley who likes really fast friends. And if it's your only friend, like it would be for us, it also just gets random crit chance for funsies. So this is a killer weapon item and a super strong drop for Dooley.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really strong drop for Mac too. Like a Fang that also just has 50% crit chance for free is great.
Sure. Like, it is for us too. It's for our weapons board.
Like Jabalion Drum loves this. Like more shots at Fang or Fang equivalents is really good for any small weapons board, right?
For sure.
And his skill is insane. So
yeah, and
I think the skill is the bigger actually. Like
yeah, your rightmost item is a vehicle, and all your vehicles have their cooldowns reduced. That's That's correct. It's going to come in at 5. But being able to just give the vehicle tag to things, especially like with the stuff we're seeing on Dooley, is going to be very interesting. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, also just like the vehicles, like the car conductor skills.
Yep. Now get to apply to you.
Other vehicles that you care about, like snowmobile is a vehicle, for example, for Pyg for your drum board.
Sure.
So there's like other stuff you like. You don't even have to use like the rightmost. I mean, like you're going to use it also, but actually playing vehicles on purpose is also something that you can do.
Yeah.
Not just stealing the vehicle tag to use the skill, but
yeah, it is a 5, 10, 50% CDR skill you could use on Bob. So clearly best skill in the game.
Yeah, Bob. I mean, so like a lot of the like magic carpet is a vehicle, by the way. Like,
yeah, that's gonna suck.
So there's just a bunch of cards that happen to have a vehicle tag that are playable anyway. So it's just interesting for that as well.
It does require your magic carpet to now be in the rightmost position though, because anything else will steal the buff.
No.
Oh, all your vehicles. Oh, you're right. So you can multi-use it. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. I read that wrong. Terraform, New Day 9 monster, Terraform. Very funny pun. Gold tier item. The item to the left of this has 100% crit chance and 1 max ammo. What? When it runs out of ammo, deal 100, 200 damage.
It's when any item runs out of ammo.
When any
not just the one.
What?
It just says un item. Presumably that includes your opponent's items, by the way.
Oh no! What?
I mean, like if you go up against this guy with potions, he just one-shots you if you run out of ammo. He just hits you for 200 for every. I don't know. Like these monsters we can't like see.
Yeah.
Right now we can't click on them.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know what they have.
This item's just nuts.
It's interesting. It's who knows?
Just give the item to the left of this 100% crit chance. I'm done. Like that's.
This thing is gonna have lifesteal, right? So because this is the item that's getting this passive power skill.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a passive weapon, right?
Yeah. Your weapons with no cooldown have lifesteal and 50 to 100 damage. So Walter, why don't you tell the audience the one that I didn't think about that you told me for Pyg?
Caltrops is a weapon with no cooldown.
This is you get to run naked caltrops with no damage scaling. If you get this to diamond, you just have caltrops up to 100 damage with lifesteal.
100 damage lifesteal caltrops as your only item in play. And you go and you queue up against Dooley and win. It's like it's like the ultimate rub-in, like the most troll board imaginable. Like
it really is
so good. I only need one of them to beat you.
Yeah, this is pretty good. Murgaloth, New Day 10 legendary monster, has the Sword of Swords. We don't know what size this is, but it is legendary tier. 7-second cooldown, deal 100 damage, has multicast for each other different hero you have an item from. That is the worst worded sentence. For each item you have from another hero, that not including this one. So if you get Murgaloth, it doesn't get one multicast for itself.
It's not each item from another hero. It's
each other different hero item. Right.
Yeah. So you're capped by the number of heroes that are in the game.
Right. Gotcha. So
if there's 6 heroes in the game, like presumably this card scales with the number of heroes there are in the game, because you can have up to, I mean, if it's a large item, you could have up to 7 small items, each potentially from a different hero.
Yeah.
Obviously there aren't 7 heroes, but in the future.
Yeah, we just
it's cool.
Jewel, Stella, and the 4, right? Yeah. So we only have 6 right now.
Sure, but like,
yeah,
so like in like further down the road, this potentially scales into future.
And then
heroes.
Jack of all trades, the first 5-10 times you use an item, charge an item from another hero 1 second. So that's pretty cool because you can isolate that, like make sure you only have 1 item from another hero. It only works on other hero items, so we're not going to be able to use this on like a Soul of the District type of thing. It does mean if anyone else gets their hands on our...
It wouldn't surprise me if it worked anyway on Monster.
It like totally could, yeah.
Yeah, so like it doesn't seem like that should be how it works, but
But
it might.
yeah, so we need to try that out because this might be just be a huge apocalypse. This just might be a standalone apocalypse trigger. If you have a one-time cast thing that's going to kill somebody, if we go to dig and pick up a what's it, boulder, right?
Yep.
Or off the monster, we get a keg.
Yep.
Yep, all that kind of stuff. Fun, cool, good times. That's it. No, it's not.
Oh wait, we got to talk about we'll try to keep it a little shorter.
Yeah, we've gone pretty long, but the legendary rank changes. This only matters when you get to legend. You're going to get to legend the same way you did before. There's no changes to the climb. So the climb is exactly what it was last season. You're fairly familiar with how long that took you. That's going to be the same. When you get to legend, there's a new formula. I'm not going to read out this formula. It's relatively convoluted, but at neutral, yeah, I'll let. I don't fully understand this. I only understand the last line that they say that says this math creates a situation where a player with an average of 8 wins will approach an 800 rating over time, while someone with the 4-win average will approach a 400 rating over time. That's all I'll say. I'll pass it off to Walter, who gets this better than I do.
Yeah, so the idea of this is that it's what you would call a normalization function. And the idea is that you have a rating that is going to trend towards your win rate. The thing to understand about that is that it's always a moving target. So imagine if I was an 80% win rate player, like they give in the example. I'm approaching an 800 rating, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then if I go on like a 10 game win streak, I'm actually going to blow past 800 easily.
Right.
Because I'm going to have a small period of time, a blip where I have some positive variance. I'm getting lucky. Plus, I'm playing great. I'm staying hydrated or whatever.
And you're getting extra points relative to the points you were getting per win before,
yes,
because it's more than your average. So you shoot up. And then if you go back to your average, 8 wins was slowly climbing you. Now suddenly that 8 wins will lose you rank.
Yes. And so what this system does do, and I think that it's not a big deal. If they're going to reset every single month, then it's not a big deal. What the system does do is mean that if I'm a 70% win rate player and I'm at 700 rating and I go on a win streak, I'm probably incentivized to never play again for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So that's the one downside of this type of system.
Yeah, there's no rank decay.
It does encourage camping.
Yeah.
That said, if the season is going to take a week to climb to legend in the first place and then is going to get reset every month, there's no point in camping anyway.
And it still takes you a long time to get towards that 800 rating. You still have to stack up the points to get there.
Yes, absolutely. So like, I think it's better than the current. It's definitely an improvement over the current one.
So much better. Yeah.
So that's good. I am pointing out the kind of like the one flaw that sticks out to me.
I feel like they could just have a teeny tiny bit of rank decay and that would solve that problem. I don't know why.
Well, the reset is a form of decay. If it's really a month-long season, then I just don't care about decay. Like I don't care about camping. I don't care about someone taking a week break.
Yeah.
Like we all had the month to get as high as we could. Like that's fine.
No, you're right.
If this is going to be a persistent rating over many months, then they need to add some anti-camping measure. It doesn't necessarily have to be direct decay, but there are other ways that it can be done. But
it also just feels like, unless you are the top player in the game that just went on a giant tear, most people like to bet on themselves. If you just went on the tear, your ego probably went up. You probably are going to convince yourself you're going to keep going on a tear and you just got better at the video game. So, I doubt that's actually going to lead to much camping.
You probably did. If you actually are that's legitimate. If you're actually streaking, you're probably doing it because you're doing something right that you were not doing right before, or you know something about the patch that other players don't know. Like, without getting into general play tips, on the one hand you don't want to be too results based, but on the other hand, win streaks do tell you something. So
this is just some professional Dooley main who's like tryharding for first rank is killing it, and then all of a sudden they nerf Dooley, and then mid-season and they have been on like a 30 win streak tear. That person might just stop playing ranked.
Yes, it might make sense for them to actually just stop playing if their character gets nerfed. I agree, and I think that's the like I said, the one glaring downside. Other than that, this is leaps and bounds an improvement over what the previous version
So much.
was.
And for us Pig players, it's meaningful for Pig to try to play ranked now, because it is a bias towards your win rate percentage, not a bias towards speed. You do have to be playing enough to get to legend, and then playing enough to get to your neutralized rank, which will still take a lot of time. But it's not the kind of thing where once you break into legend, you're like, if I simply only play 5 games and then I go to sleep, I'm going to wake up behind where I was, even if I was winning 10. That won't happen anymore. Now just every time you log in and you do a 10-win game, you improved your rank relative to everyone. So yeah, it's fantastic. It makes playing rank make sense for someone like us who just can't keep up with the speed of other heroes. I love it. I love it a lot. So that is it, boys. Thank you so much, Walter. I really appreciate this. I think this was a lot of fun. I think this is going to clock in at like 14 hours, but I think for those who wanted to hang in there,
it's a big patch. It's a big patch. You know what? It's the new season. We don't need, like, and if you really think about it,
we didn't cover the new cards,
items that we didn't even cover. There's 3 new monster fights that we didn't even cover.
Yeah.
Besides the ones that we did talk about, there's 3 new ones in the temple that we didn't cover.
At least 3.
And they all have new items too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
so there is actually more, but this is all we can comment on, because this is all we have a note for. But.
Yep. So hope that was helpful and useful to you all. We will get this up on YouTube, and I will be running more videos in the near future, letting you know other changes that we come up with. I will probably be peppering in effects of these changes. Obviously, I'll tell you what's happening on Pig, but I will keep talking with Walter. And if he's playing, whoever he's playing, I'm guessing it's going to be Mac. If there's anything mechanical or whatever that's interesting, anything bugged like we often find on Pig, if he finds it on Mac, we'll also share it here. So thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks, Walter, for helping out. And that'll be it. All right. Talk to y'all later.